Chapter 32. Pomegranate was also sent out to do something. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan woke up, they found another servant girl sitting by the door. Now, I'm really starting to admire your mother in this life. She's in charge of the farm, she's feeding us milk, and she's also able to grasp the situation around the children at any time. If it were in our era, she would definitely be an all-powerful woman, Wang Wan said with a sigh. That's right. Don't you see whose mother she is? In the future, don't always say, your mother, like that. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Call them father and mother. Who is this at the door? We can't arrange anything else, otherwise we won't have enough people at home. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the servant girl standing by and thought of an idea. After thinking about it, he finally rejected it. When he saw Wang Wan looking at him unhappily, he smiled and said, I'm used to it. I always feel like I'm still the person who controls a large corporation. Then always remind yourself, especially in front of outsiders. Let's go to the sand. While the children are recovering quickly, we should seize the time to exercise. As soon as Wang Wan finished speaking, the two began to kick the mattresses on the ground. This was the only way for them to get off the ground. Little young master, you're up. After kicking a mattress, the servant girl alertly walked over. We don't need you, we can do it ourselves. What's your name? Seeing that the servant girl was reaching out to carry him and Wang Wan, Zhang Xiaobao spoke to stop her. In reply to little young master, my name is Xiao Hong. Thank you little young master and little miss for asking for mercy. In the future, little Seven and I won't dare to speak out of turn. The person who called herself Xiao Hong was somewhat reserved. Oh, you're Xiao Hong. Do well in Zhuangzi and we won't treat you badly. Hurry up and get off. Wang Wan said to Xiao Hong and urged Zhang Xiaobao to get off the ground first. Taking a deep breath and protecting their heads with both hands, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan rolled onto the mattress on the ground one after another under Little Red's astonished gaze. Little Red felt as if the things that had rolled down were not two children, but two large rocks, firmly pressing down on her chest. She was so frightened that she did not know what to do. Go to the kitchen to get the water we need. As soon as you tell them, they will understand. Go to the backyard to find us. Remember to bring 2 sets of our clothes. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't care about the mattresses on the ground. Xiao Hong should be able to do this kind of thing. One in front of the other, they staggered outside. Looking at the little young master and little Miss Wang's disappearing figures, Xiao Hong was stunned. After a while, she reacted. She covered her mouth with her hand and muttered, not a monster. I don't know anything. I won't say anything. Xiao Hong trembled as she was told to go to the kitchen. The kitchen had already prepared everything. When she took the water and walked to the back, Xiao Hong was still in a trance. As she walked, she suddenly stopped and muttered to herself, if the little young master is really a monster, then wouldn't the family head in the future be a monster? That doesn't seem bad. With a monster as the family head, who would dare to bully the people on Zhuangzi? In an instant, Xiao Hong, who thought it through, became happy. She quickened her steps and came to the back of the yard. She saw the little young master and little Miss Wang walking there hand in hand. Not far away, under a tree, sat the old madam and old master, looking at the 2 little guys with benevolent smiles on their faces. The scorching sun gradually sank. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan once again dragged their tired bodies back to their room. Enduring the soreness, they massaged each other once before lying there and gradually fell asleep. Jiang Wang clan had already been ordered for the past few days. They were to eat a pig's knuckle every day, the kind without salt. For her, for the sake of her children, there was nothing she couldn't endure. Waiting for Jiang Wang clan to feed her milk, while Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were lying there reading the 1,000-character classic, Ernie and Cherries both came back. Pomegranate took a few people to the market to pick up vegetables, leaves, and rotten fish. Little young master, the sauces have already been made. It's not very good to make sauces at this time of the year. My mother said that we can still make sauces. It'll be ready in a few days. Send the money for the small porcelain jar over as well. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan raised their heads to rest their eyes, Ernie finally opened his mouth to report. And, take care of this matter first. You put in a lot of effort. Keep 10% of the things that aren't soybeans for your family. Bring the rest back to the courtyard and find a place for me to put them. Find someone who can read and write down the amount of each item and send it to me. You don't have to come here every day. Come once every 2 to 3 days. If you encounter anything that you can't decide, you can ask me. Rest in the courtyard tonight and go back tomorrow morning. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a moment and then instructed Ernie. He glanced at Cherries, who was standing at the side, and nodded. Cherries stepped forward and said, "Little young master, the Kong bed you mentioned has already been set up and dried. We also bought a lot of eggs. I've been touching the chicken coop every day. I think it's ready." "It's ready. That's good. Do as I say. In about 20 days, there will be chickens coming out of their shells. Let me think about it and I'll tell you the details tomorrow. This thing. I'm familiar with it. When you see Pomegranate, tell her to hurry up." Zhang Xiaobao thought for a while and then slowly said. After Cherries also left, Wang Wan stared at Zhang Xiaobao and suddenly laughed. "I thought you knew everything. It turns out that you're also a little guilty. Are you familiar with it? Why do you sound so unconfident?" "I can't say I'm not familiar with it." Cherries has already grasped the temperature. What she needs is me to give her confidence. It's not easy to be in power. Zhang Xiaobao smacked his lips and then continued to read. He didn't just read, he also had to memorize it. Wang Wan didn't say anything for a while. Her eyes stared straight at the many strokes of the words. After a while, she said, "Actually, it's not easy to live. Who knows what tomorrow will be like? Natural disasters, man-made disasters, if you can't avoid them, then you have to face them. What do you want that for?" Wang Wan's thoughts jumped around quickly. At first she was lamenting, but then she changed the topic. Zhang Xiaobao turned a page and said, "Rewards. I'll make more money in the future, but I'll be suspected by others. Maybe I don't have the mood to care about the internal affairs. Now, I need to strengthen the people's hearts. My request is that the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang families must be as strong as iron in Zhuangzi. Fortunately, there's someone to help." Wang Wan turned back again. She hadn't finished reading yet. There are still 2 lines to go. It's vertical. I'm not used to it. Who do you think will help? Song Jinggong, that liar. We can get a lot of money from him. Hurry up and read one more page before you go to sleep." Zhang Xiaobao yawned and said. It was another sunny day. The early morning breeze was still cool. The chirping of birds was like the sunlight passing through the gaps between the leaves. It was always possible to feel its presence inadvertently. The children and the adults who had nothing to do were at home flipping through the piles of firewood. They took out the rotting things underneath and carefully piled them aside, waiting for the people from the village to come and change them. Song Jinggong didn't go back home yesterday. He found a random family in Zhuangzi to stay the night. Normally, as a kind person, he would stay for a few nights. That family should have taken care of his meals and wouldn't ask for a single copper coin. Who would have thought that these 2 neighboring families in Zhuangzi would actually ask him for money? 5 copper coins for a night's stay and 5 copper coins for a meal without meat. 10 copper coins for a meal without meat. It was just a lousy dish. Not to mention the bad taste, there wasn't much oil. It was enough to stay in the town's inn for 15 copper coins. You could even drink a bowl of wine. When he left the house, Song Jinggong cursed inwardly. He had given all his money to that little kid from the Zhang family. He had actually taken away an inkstone from the 4 treasures of the study that he always carried with him. That inkstone was bought for 50 copper coins, and it was only enough to pay for a shabby bed for one night. How could a bowl of brown rice and a plate of fried leek with egg be counted as meat dishes? With a gloomy mood, Song Jinggong didn't feel happy even though the weather was so good. If they didn't ask for the jade and silver, Song Jinggong really was prepared to leave. Now that he had given them away, he wouldn't be satisfied if he didn't get some benefits. Imagining the scene of him tricking the people in Zhangjie Zhuangzi into crying, Song Jinggong finally felt a little better. He hurried on his way. When he was about to reach the biggest courtyard in the manor, he slowed down his pace. He straightened his clothes and said to the door, "Is the manager of the manor here?" "Song Jinggong is here to visit." The person at the door had already been instructed. He glanced at the door and didn't say anything. Song Jinggong waited for a while. He had no choice but to reach out and knock on the door. Only then did someone open the small door. He stuck his head out to look at Song Jinggong and said, "What do you want?" "I am Song Jinggong. I want to see the manager of your manor." Song Jinggong cleared his throat and said in a clear voice, "I don't know. Do you have a name card? How can the manager of my manor be met so casually?" The gatekeeper disdainfully curled his lips. "I was here yesterday with your young master. Why don't you know today?" Song Jinggong was angry, but he couldn't directly show it. He could only continue to speak. "Yesterday I only saw the young master. I didn't see anyone else." "Io, isn't this young Master Zheng? You've come. Quickly invite him in. I'll inform him of your arrival." As the gatekeeper spoke, he suddenly changed his face and greeted Song Jinggong. He then turned around and ran back. Song Jinggong heard the gatekeeper's words and turned his head to look. He saw a young man in his 20s standing there with a smile on his face. He wore a small gown and tight leggings. He didn't look like a rich person. Why did the gatekeeper treat him like this? With doubts, Song Jinggong cupped his hands and said, "So it's young Master Zheng. I understand. My surname is Song." Oh, hello young Master Song. Is young Master Song here to borrow money like me?" This young Master Zheng didn't seem to know the meaning of secrecy. He opened his mouth and spoke his purpose. "Borrow money? Then why did the gatekeeper treat the two of us differently?" Song Jinggong wanted to understand what was wrong with him. Oh, young Master Song must be a righteous person. Although I'm here to borrow money, every time I come, I will, young Master Zheng, please come in. Just as Song Jinggong wanted to know the reason, the gatekeeper came back and stood at the door to welcome him. Young Master Zheng smiled and thanked him. He handed a string of 300 copper coins to the gatekeeper and walked in respectfully under the gatekeeper's service. Looking at young Master Zheng's receding figure, the gatekeeper weighed the money in his hand with a smile on his face and put it away happily. When he saw Song Jinggong again, he suddenly snorted coldly, turned around, and went in without saying anything. Song Jinggong now knew the reason. He gritted his teeth and turned around to leave. It wasn't that he didn't want to cheat, but he wanted to go back to get the money. He finally understood what was going on with the gatekeeper. It was easy to meet the king of hell, but difficult to deal with the little ghosts. If you think this book is too short, you can read my other book, The Legend of the Waiter. You have to save your ticket for this book. Chapter 33. Song Jinggong was a swindler. He always thought that he was the best and did not think about other things. He did not know how to communicate with others in the same field. It could be said that he was conservative. Zhang Xiaobao grasped this mentality of his and continued to swindle money. Every time, it was just a little bit. He even used the doorkeeper. After Song Jinggong went back in the morning, the more he thought about it, the angrier he became. In order to get his revenge, he hurried back that night with the money. He met the same doorkeeper again. With the experience of this morning, he did not say anything and handed over a small piece of silver. It was about half a tael. It was almost twice as much as what young Master Jing gave in the morning. The doorkeeper smiled and took the money and ran in. After a while, he turned around and showed a helpless expression. He said, "Young Master Song, the housekeeper is checking the accounts. Perhaps you will not be able to see young master today. It would be better if you came early tomorrow morning. Then is your madam here?" Song Jinggong was distressed to spend half a tael of silver. He gave so much money to the doorkeeper. At this time, seeing that he could not talk to the housekeeper, he made a new request. Who knew that when the doorkeeper heard this, his face suddenly became gloomy. He said coldly, "Young master does not need to worry about my madam. Young master, please go back." Song Jinggong stared blankly for a moment. He suddenly remembered that she still had 2 babies to feed. They must be babies at this moment. It was really rude of him to ask like this. He looked embarrassed and didn't dare to say anything more. He forced a smile and turned around to leave. After walking a few steps, he found that he was going to the house where he stayed yesterday. Thinking about the food there, he changed direction and went to the Wang family's house in Zhuangzi. Who knew that when he found a house that looked clean and told him the purpose of his visit, they asked for 10 copper coins for lodging and double the food expenses. Thinking that the food in this house would be better, he gritted his teeth and accepted. After all, he came to Zhangjie Zhuangzi to cheat people. It was not good to go to Gujia village. Who knew that when dinner was served, it was a plate of scrambled eggs with chives. It was not as good as scrambled eggs with chives. Lying on the bed that was almost hollowed out, the thin mattress was covered with thatch, and it was very uncomfortable. Just this alone was fine, but there were mosquitoes flying around in the room. Last night, when he slept, his family even lit a rope made of mugwort to drive away mosquitoes. Today, there was nothing, and this room was next to the courtyard at the back. From time to time, Song Jinggong could see things flapping their wings as they wandered in through the half-broken window. Song Jinggong didn't even dare to take off his clothes. He covered his face with the blanket with an unknown smell and couldn't fall asleep at all. The sound of crickets chirping outside the window did not stop. In the past, it was a different kind of feeling to hear it, but today, it was even more so. It was late at night and the dew was heavy. The vegetables and fruit trees in the courtyard were constantly sending moisture into the house. Song Jinggong felt that his hands and feet were ice cold. He tossed and turned and curled his body into a ball, but he still couldn't get rid of this cold. Old sir, open the door. We need to discuss something." Finally, Song Jinggong, who couldn't bear this kind of torture, got up and went to the next room. He gently knocked on the door and only spoke when he heard the voice inside. "What's the matter? It's so late and you're still not sleeping?" The person who opened the door was around 50 years old. He yawned and asked with some dissatisfaction. "Old sir, my room is really too cold. Do you have a thin blanket that I can use to sleep on?" Song Jinggong didn't expect that a farmer would dare to speak to him like this. He sighed sadly in his heart and tried to negotiate. "Where's the blanket? I've already put it away." Where can I find it in the middle of the night? Just wait for the night. What were you thinking about in the morning? The old man refused. You really don't have one. It's not that you don't have one. There is a new blanket for my grandson to use when he gets married. It's placed in a conspicuous place. I spent a whole tale to get it made. The old man sighed as he spoke. His master was so shrewd that he even calculated this. I'll buy it. A tale of silver, I'll buy it. Song Jingong's eyes were red. What did he mean by a tale of silver? Could it be satin? I still have to spend a lot of effort to get it. The old man complained and didn't move. Add another 10 coins. Song Jingong increased the price. Wait. The old man snorted and closed the door. He probably went in to look for the blanket. After a full quarter of an hour, he came out and stuffed a rolled-up thing into Song Jingong's arms. He then turned around and closed the door. Song Jingong hugged the blanket and felt a little warmer. He went back to his room and covered himself with the blanket. He still couldn't sleep and could only look around under the moonlight. He looked around and saw the blanket. The more he looked, the more he felt that something was wrong. He didn't know if it was because the moonlight was white or if there was a problem with the color of the blanket. When he looked closely, it was made of thick silk. This was the only set that cost 30 coins. The most expensive one was 50 coins. It actually cost 1 tael of silver. That was fine. But looking at the dyed areas, it was obvious that the color had been washed out. It was white. How could this be called a new blanket? Song Jingong was so angry. He thought about it and decided not to sleep. He stood up and walked to the window. He opened the other window and looked at the night scenery. In this way, Song Jingong spent a lot of money. Excluding the money he gave to Zhang Xiaobao, he spent a total of 10 taels of silver. This included accommodation, food, drinks, and gifts. But he only met Steward Zhang once. They talked about the matter and only said that they wanted to work together to do a profitable business. Steward Zhang said that he couldn't make the decision and needed to report to his wife. Who knew that he would wait for a few more days? If he didn't spend so much money, he would have gone back long ago. Who would be chatting here? But he had spent the money. If he didn't do it well, he wouldn't be satisfied. Today, he finally decided to stay in Gu family's Zhuangzi. He didn't want to waste this money. Xiao Bao, you've been here for 20 days, right? Wang Wan, who was sitting on one end of a seesaw under the shade of a tree, used all her strength to press Zhang Xiaobao up. Zhang Xiaobao shifted his weight back and lifted Wang Wan up. He replied, "No, it's been 19 days. In another 10 days, the chicks will be born. The earthworms haven't grown up yet. Put them in the village's toilet." "Oh, it's called the latrine. It doesn't matter if they eat maggots. I'm just afraid that they will fall into the pit and drown. We need to feed them some food. How about the sauce? Will it be ready soon?" "It's still early. It will take another 20 days. Zhang Xiaobao estimated the date that Ernie mentioned. "Are you sure someone can buy it? It's just a little spicy. There's meat inside." Wang Wan also used all her strength to move back and lift Zhang Xiaobao again. She used this to train the strength of her legs and waist. She could train while playing. Absolutely no problem. When the sauce is ready, we'll send the recipe of using the sauce to those restaurants and inns. If they sell well, they'll come to buy the sauce and rest. It's been 2 hours. My legs are sore. In a while, I'll ask Xiao Hong to go to the kitchen and ask them to make some seaweed and bone soup. Didn't we buy seaweed 2 days ago? You need to replenish your nutrition. Just drinking milk won't do. Zhang Xiaobao got down from the seesaw and walked to a place with sunlight. He started to bask in the sun. Wang Wan followed him. Xiao Hong hurriedly went to the kitchen to ask someone to prepare something. When she came back, she took out a small cushion and placed it in the middle of the courtyard. She held an umbrella and hid under the shade. While looking at the two little ancestors, she was thinking about her own worries. Usually, when she had some free time, she would make clothes for herself and Xiao Qi. This time, she didn't dare to say anything. If anyone saw her holding a needle and thread while looking after the children, no one could help her. Xiao Bao, don't just lie down. Look at how much money we have. Wang Wan turned over and propped her chin on the cushion. We don't have much money, but we've accumulated some things. Let's wait for the autumn harvest. What are you going to do with the autumn harvest? I always feel that you're up to no good. Wang Wan still didn't know what Zhang Xiaobao was planning. How should I say? You can say that I'm up to no good, or you can say that I'm doing something out of the kindness of my heart. It depends on how you interpret it. For example, Wang Wan asked. For example, is it good or bad for traders to make money? If you want to make a profit, you have to buy low and sell high, Zhang Xiaobao said thoughtfully. When Wang Wan, who was lying down, heard this, she immediately sat up. She stared at Zhang Xiaobao and said, You want to buy food? You want to hoard it? Don't be silly. How much money can I have? Why would I hoard it? I want to buy food locally. Today's harvest is good, and the food is cheap. Next year, I'll sell it elsewhere and make a lot of money. Zhang Xiaobao finally revealed his purpose. Where? I can't say it yet. If I tell anyone, the secret will no longer be a secret. Zhang Xiaobao refused again. I won't ask in the future. Think about that swindler song. How is he going to cheat us? I'm not an immortal or a demon. Let's wait. Tomorrow, I'll get Steward Zhang to contact him. We'll deal with whatever comes our way. The next day, Song Jinggong came to the courtyard again. He had already become used to coming once a day. He originally thought that he wouldn't get anything today, but who knew that when the gatekeeper took the money he gave and reported it, Steward Zhang personally came out to welcome him. Ha, young Master Song has been waiting here for a long time, right? Come in with me. Steward Zhang warmly led Song Jinggong into the living room, which made Song Jinggong a little unaccustomed. When the two sat down, the servants served them tea. After a few sips, Steward Zhang said, Young Master Song has been here for a long time. You must have something important to say, right? Today, Madam went out to handle some matters and won't be back for a few days. Everything in the village is under my management. Young Master Song, if you have something to say, just say it. When Song Jinggong heard Steward Zhang's words, his heart skipped a beat. He asked tentatively, You can make decisions about money? Of course. My family has been in charge of the Zhang family for generations. It's just a matter of managing money. There's nothing I can do, Steward Zhang replied proudly. Oh, if that's the case, Steward Zhang is very respected in Zhangzhe Zhuangzi. Congratulations, Steward Zhang. Song Jinggong flattered. Well said, well said. Young Master Song, just say what you want. Steward Zhang's eyes narrowed. He seemed to be very comfortable with the praise. All right, I'll say it now. I have a shop in Sanshui County that specializes in antiques, calligraphy, and paintings. Song Jinggong said softly. Oh. You want me to buy some calligraphy? Steward Zhang asked. No, I have something else to discuss. It's about making money. Song Jinggong finally said what he thought was very tempting. Chapter 34. After Song Jingong said this, he no longer spoke and lowered his head to drink his tea. Steward Zhang thought to himself, so it's here. He also pretended to drink a few mouthfuls of tea. When he refilled it, he asked, "What exactly is young Master Song talking about getting rich?" This, sigh, fine, I'll just tell you. I heard that there was a strange object in that area that I thought would be able to sell at a high price once it was shipped to Tang. I gave a deposit of about 1,000 stones, each stone being 200 coins. The object looked bright red and delicate, with green leaves on it, reflecting each other. Originally, it was 1,000 stones, but who would have thought that it would be 2,000 stones? I don't have enough money, so I came to discuss with the steward if you would like to get rich together with me and buy the 1,000 stones. Song Jingong said with a face full of certainty. I don't know what it is, but how could it be so valuable? If one were to eat this 1,000 stones, it would be 200 taels of silver. This is not a small amount, and I haven't seen the object, this. Steward Zhang revealed a difficult expression. He was not afraid at all. No matter what he said now, he would not make the final decision. He would just follow along. Yes, 200 taels of silver, it is not easy for me to make the decision. Why don't we wait for Madame Zhuang to return and then we can discuss it? Song Jingong said. Steward Zhang's face was not gloomy. He gently placed the teacup on the table and said, although 200 taels is a lot, it is not that I cannot make the decision. It is just that I have not seen the object, so it is not easy to take it out. If it is convenient for young Master Song, please send the object for me to take a look, so that I can rest assured. Manager Zhang, you don't have to worry about that thing. I have a way here that can solve my worries and also give you some benefits, Song Jingong said with a smile when he heard Manager Zhang's words. Oh. There is another method. Quickly, young Master Song, tell me in detail. If it is possible, I can still take out 200 taels of silver. Steward Zhang cooperated. Song Jingong unhurriedly took out a few pieces of paper and gently unfolded them in front of Steward Zhang, indicating for him to take a look. Manager Zhang carefully picked up the pieces of paper and flipped through them one by one. After a while, he revealed a puzzled expression. This is the store's deed. What does young Master Song need it for? That's right, it's the shop's deed. It's the Song Sanshui's antique calligraphy and painting shop's deed. All the items in the shop, including the real estate, are worth 300 taels of silver. Here is the Yewei's calligraphy book as proof, as well as a detailed list. Each item has its own value. If Steward Zhang is able to take out 200 taels of silver and lend it to this Song is willing to use this shop and the goods in it as collateral. When this Song accepts the goods, this Song will immediately return the money with a 30% interest rate. At that time, Steward Zhang's share of benefits will not be small. Song Jingong understood everything clearly. No matter which aspect it was, it made people feel good. In that case, if we can't get the principal and interest, then the store and the goods in it will belong to us? Manager Zhang asked again. That's right. Song Jingong nodded. Then why didn't young Master Song borrow it from others? There's a place that specializes in borrowing money for this kind of thing, and we don't know when that goods will arrive? Manager Zhang asked doubtfully. Song Jingong seemed to have already known that Manager Zhang would ask such a question. He smiled and replied, that merchant only cares about profit. This Song is afraid that if I went to another place to borrow money, not only would they not lend it to me, but they would also go to another merchant alone. At that time, this Song won't even be able to receive a single dan of goods. I've heard that the people of the Zhang family's manor are all kind-hearted people. That's why I've come to your esteemed manor to discuss this matter. I'm thinking that even if your esteemed manor doesn't lend me money and doesn't cooperate with me, you won't do such a thing that takes drastic measures to deceive people. As for that goods, they will arrive soon, probably not more than half a month. That's why this Song is so anxious. When he said this, even Song Jinggong felt that he was lying. In the past few days, he had been cheated many times. If this was considered kind, then there were no good people in this world. Just thinking about that broken quilt made him angry. Well said, well said. This Zhang feels that the 2 points that young Master Song has raised are both feasible. How about this? This Zhang will think about it carefully and tell young Master Song in detail. Just as young Master Song said, whether it succeeds or not, we won't do such a thing. Servants, tell the kitchen to prepare a banquet and entertain young Master Song. Young Master Song, please wait in this hall for a moment. This Zhang can't do it alone, so I will go back and discuss it with my father. Is that okay? Manager Zhang asked after making the arrangements. That's fine. Then I'll have to trouble Manager Zhang. Whether this matter succeeds or not, this Song will remember Manager Zhang's kindness. If it really does succeed, when this Song makes money, this Song will definitely reward Manager Zhang well. Song Jinggong was happy. If Manager Zhang didn't say so and directly agreed, he would be worried. Manager Zhang didn't say anything else and said to wait. He hurriedly left the hall and went straight to Zhang Xiaobao. As for his father, it had nothing to do with this matter, so it was useless even if he went. At this time, Zhang Xiaobao was rolling around in the sand with Wang Wan. A few days ago, he had someone blow bubbles into a ball and stick leather on the outside. The two of them kicked it back and forth, using this to train their bodies and also to train their coordination. When he saw Manager Zhang arrive, he stopped and asked, Manager Zhang, do you know what that swindler Song wants to do? Manager Zhang repeated to the young master what he had said with Song Jinggong. He didn't say anything else and quietly waited for the young master's orders. At this time, the young master's weight in his heart was not low. What Ernie's family did, Zhang Wang clan didn't hide it from him. While he was moved by his wife's trust, he was also shocked by the young master's methods. As for the talk of immortals and monsters, he didn't care at all. His family had been the Zhang family's housekeepers for generations. It could be said that he was born as a member of the Zhang family and died as a ghost of the Zhang family. If the young master was a monster, then his son was the monster's housekeeper. There was no difference. When Zhang Xiaobao heard these words, he fell into deep thought. Wang Wan also followed suit. She had dealt with many cases and was preparing to take out a similar one for comparison. Without waiting for Zhang Xiaobao to speak, Wang Wan, who had thought for a while, said, I understand. That swindler Song wants us to go and eat all the goods. If we can't sell them, we will have to pay a large sum of money. How can there be something so expensive? 100 copper coins for a stone. Why don't we lend him the money and get his 300 taels of silver shop? With the swindler as a guarantor, I don't think he will be cheated. Let's see what he says when the time comes. Then we will be cheated. Is the swindler's guarantee useful? You can guarantee the shop, but how can you guarantee the things inside? Antiques, calligraphy, and paintings can be faked. Song Jinggong can use the real things when he asks the swindler to guarantee. After we sign the document with him, he can change it to a fake one. Who will you ask for help at that time? If the swindler really guarantees the authenticity, how can you sue him? When you want to ask Song Jinggong, he will say that it is those things. You have seen it. Don't tell me that you haven't misjudged antiques, calligraphy, and paintings. Zhang Xiaobao pointed out the loophole in Wang Wan's words. Wang Wan thought about it and agreed. Not to mention that the swindler's guarantee was true, even if he saw the fake one, he would still say that it was true. So she said, there is no other way. That means he didn't ship anything from elsewhere at all. He just wants to sell the shop to us. We can say that we're working together with him to buy the 200 taels of silver. Let's see what he says. How do you know that there is no stock? If it were me, I would make the goods. No matter which one you choose, you will be cheated. The goods should be very cheap. You can buy it for 100 copper coins per stone. Of course, you may ask for a lower price. Zhang Xiaobao retorted again. When Wang Wan heard this, there was nothing she could do. After all, the things she did in the past were supported by a large amount of information, as well as legal weapons. She could easily find professionals in this field. When it came to the Tang dynasty, if she were to command an army alone, she would be able to get some results after getting used to it. However, with just this bit of information, it was impossible to judge. Then what do you think we should do? Treat him to a meal and let him go. Wang Wan looked at Zhang Xiaobao and asked. Treat him to a meal and let him go. Then he must be dreaming. Treating him to a meal doesn't cost money. Since he dares to try and swindle me, I'll show him who's boss. Steward Zhang, come here. I'll tell you what to do. Zhang Xiaobao laughed disdainfully, beckoning Steward Zhang over. Wang Wan, Zhang Xiaobao, and Steward Zhang whispered to each other for a quarter of an hour. Only then did Steward Zhang leave with a confused expression. So stupid. Even I understand what you said. Why doesn't he understand? Wang Wan was relieved. As she spoke, she reached out and pinched Zhang Xiaobao's chubby face. She tilted her head and looked at Zhang Xiaobao for a moment. Amazing. I've finally seen it today. International swindlers are really not comparable to those little liars. If there was someone like you in my special second department, I would catch every swindler I see and let me take a good look. Could it be that your brain was born to cheat? Alright, you are already drooling. Don't you know that you can't always pinch a child's face? What is this? Alright, let's get down to business. I will let Song Jinggong know what it means to deceive. Zhang Xiaobao slapped Wang Wan's hand away and called Xiao Hong to start making arrangements. A quarter of an hour later, when Manager Zhang and Song Jinggong were eating and drinking, a few of Zhang Zhuang's people left. A few of Wang Zhuang's people also left. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan started the game again. They were evenly matched. Song Jinggong and Steward Zhang were also drinking wine and chatting happily. They were having a great time. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were about to rest after playing for an hour, Zhang Wang clan also rushed over. When she saw the two children, she sighed. These two children were really too cruel. She walked in front of Zhang Xiaobao and touched her son's face. Xiaobao, you are forcing that Song Jinggong to his death. Where possible, you should be lenient. Mom, don't worry. I have my own plans. I will definitely force him to his death. I am short of people. Manager Zhang didn't understand when he heard my plan. I don't want such a stupid person. When Song Jinggong is at his wit's end, I will help him. It will be easier for him to do things in the future. I can't do everything by myself, right? Zhang Xiaobao knew that his mother was not a bad person, so he explained it to her. Zhang Wang clan was relieved when she heard this. She said, "My son is right. You are a great talent. You just need to stay in the back. There will be others to lead the charge." Chapter 35. Song Jinggong originally didn't want to drink too much, just a few cups. But after a few cups, he was still in a daze. He lay there crookedly, his mouth continuously flattering Manager Zhang. Manager Zhang was also a little shaken. He knew that his alcohol tolerance wasn't that high. It was all because of the little lord. He didn't put drugs in the wine, but had someone roast it in a brazier in this small dining room. He didn't know what it meant to have insufficient oxygen, nor did he know what it meant to increase the temperature to promote blood circulation, which would cause alcohol to affect the brain faster. He only knew that since the little lord said so, then it was definitely not wrong. After arranging for Song Jingong to rest, he went out to do other things. When Song Jingong woke up, it was already afternoon. He was fed some hangover soup by the servant girl serving him. In a daze, he vaguely heard someone talking. "Manager Zhang, who allowed you to make the decision alone? Do you not see me as a person in your eyes?" The voice seemed to belong to a woman. Song Jingong rubbed his aching head and tilted his ear to listen carefully. "No, this little one doesn't dare. This little one only thinks that young Master Song's business is good, so this little one wants to get some money. If Madam doesn't allow, this little one will send him away." Song Jingong finally heard clearly that the person speaking was Manager Zhang. Thinking about the matter with Zhang Zhuang, it was obvious that the person who could make Manager Zhang so afraid was the Jiang Wang clan. Seeing that the madam wanted to drive him away, Song Jingong immediately became anxious. Just as he was about to go out and explain, he heard the Jiang Wang clan say, "Manager Zhang, since I've taught Zhuangzi to you, you must be 120% alert. Don't be fooled by others." "Madam, don't worry, I definitely won't be fooled. Young Master Song is not that kind of person." Just as Song Jingong was worried that he would be exposed, Manager Zhang's voice sounded. Not that kind of person. Could it be that you've received benefits from him and are speaking for him? I heard that Song Jingong actually moved to Gujia village yesterday. He wants to cheat us of our money and run away. Jiang Wang clan's voice sounded again. When Song Jingong heard this, he felt a little wronged. If he could explain, he would definitely rush out and say that the two Zhuangzi people in front of him were too deceitful. But he couldn't say that the Jiang Wang clan knew who he was. If he really rushed out, that would be unwise. With a trace of worry, Song Jingong listened attentively, hoping that Steward Zhang would put in a few good words for him. Sure enough, Steward Zhang spoke. Replying to Madam, "I've already tested young Master Song today, especially when we were drinking. Young Master Song is really a good person. As for resting on other Zhuangzi, according to this little one's guess, there must be someone on that Zhuangzi that young Master Song is familiar with. Alright, there's no need to say more. How can I not recognize people? If you don't believe me, send someone to follow that young Master Song. If I'm not wrong, he doesn't have any goods. In these few days, as long as he gets money, he will go into hiding. His shop isn't even worth 300 taels of silver. You didn't even see what the goods were, yet you dare to make such a plan. How can I let you manage Zhuangzi in the future?" The dissatisfied voice of the Jiang Wang clan sounded again, scaring Song Jingong. He wasn't afraid that someone would investigate, but he was afraid that the Jiang Wang clan would directly reject his suggestion. If that was the case, then wouldn't all the money he spent in the past few days be taken advantage of? After listening for a while, until the footsteps of a person gradually faded away, Song Jingong sat down on a small stool next to the window, thinking about what to do next. When he couldn't hear anything else, he heard Steward Zhang, who hadn't left yet, call out to someone. "Call Shao Qi over. When young Master Song leaves the courtyard, follow behind him. If you see that he wants to leave, report back to me immediately." After waiting for someone to answer and leave, Song Jingong let out a sigh of relief. He secretly made up his mind that no matter what, he couldn't let anyone find out. He quietly walked back to the bed and lay down in his clothes. He resisted the headache and looked at the ceiling, thinking about how to cheat Zhangzhe Zhuangzi of his money. He didn't expect that the Jiang Wang clan that Steward Zhang mentioned would come back so early. What a coincidence. Did she hear that he was coming? Or was it because she was worried about Steward Zhang and deliberately did this? After lying down, Song Jinggong fell asleep again. He didn't wake up until evening. He got up and was about to leave when he heard Steward Zhang's voice outside the window. Has young Master Song woken up? This servant doesn't know. Young Master Song hasn't left the house this entire time. I'll go in and take a look. Tell the servants to prepare wine and food. Song Jinggong heard the voice and pretended that he had just woken up. He opened his sleepy eyes and waited for Steward Zhang to come in. He yawned and said, Steward Zhang has a good tolerance for alcohol. I remembered what I said to Steward Zhang when we were eating, but I forgot everything afterward. I don't even remember how I got to this room. Young Master Song doesn't have any worries about Zhuangzi, so you can drink without worry. I can't do the same. There are many things to take care of in Zhuangzi. You need to be careful when you drink. Otherwise, who knows what will happen. Steward Zhang came in with a smile on his face. He looked at Song Jinggong and said this with a laugh. Song Jinggong didn't have time to care whether these words were true or false. He pressed his hand on his forehead and said, looking at the sky outside, it should be evening. I won't disturb you any longer. When that fellow arrives in a few days, I'll tell Steward Zhang the details. No rush, no rush. Leave after dinner. The people in the village aren't smart. It's hard to find someone to talk to. Young Master Song, it's not easy for you to come here. No matter what, you can't just leave like this. Steward Zhang tried to stop him. Thank you for your kindness, Steward Zhang. Unfortunately, I can't drink. Even now, I still have a splitting headache. I can't drink. I really can't drink. In a few days, I'll come again. Song Jinggong wouldn't eat here no matter what. What he needed to do now was to pretend and make people believe him. It didn't matter whether he ate or not. Steward Zhang tried to persuade him again, but Song Jinggong insisted. He had no choice but to send Song Jinggong to the door. He stood there for a long time and didn't turn back. If it were anyone else, they would have been moved. Song Jinggong knew that there was someone called Little Seven who should be following him in a place where he couldn't see. After thinking about it, he decided to stay in the village of Zhuangzi. It didn't matter if he had to spend some money. At least it could make the Jiang Wang clan feel at ease. Night fell. The people who left Zhuangzi and Wang family Zhuangzi were still in a hurry to get to their destination. The Wei River was the closest to Zhuangzi. If they wanted to use boats to transport goods, they had to travel less. However, the Luoshui River was the closest to Sanshui County. According to Song Jinggong's judgment, they should be dropping off the goods there. In order to not make any mistakes, both sides sent people to check. In addition, 2 people went to Sanshui County to arrange things there. These people were told that no matter where they went, they were not allowed to reveal their identities. In the morning, 2 travel-worn people came to Xinping City, which was dozens of li away from Tuqiao village. These 2 people didn't enter the city directly. Instead, they found a place not far from the city and stayed in Zhuangzi. According to the instructions, they had a good sleep. They only woke up in the afternoon. After freshening up, they casually threw a few copper coins to the people who stayed with them. Then, they went out and asked around for houses to sell. When other people asked, they would say that they came from afar and wanted to find a place to stay. After an hour, they finally found someone who was willing to sell the house. Not caring that it was getting late, they pulled the person and bought the house on the same day. One of them stayed behind to clean the house and hired someone to make the bed. The other person hurried back. It was really like running through the night and the stars. At 2:45 in the morning, he returned to the Zhang family manor. Ignoring his fatigue, he went straight to the courtyard where Zhang Xiaobao was sleeping. When he arrived at the door, he reported while panting heavily. Zhang Si was ordered to return. He bought a house in Xiaoniu village, 2 li outside of Xinping city. Fortunately, he didn't disappoint. After saying this, he was so tired that he couldn't stand. He squatted there with one hand on the ground, panting incessantly. When Xiao Hong heard the noise, she woke Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan up. The two looked at each other and hurriedly got up. They let Xiao Hong carry the bed, lit the lantern, and walked out of the door. Zhang Xiaobao even lifted the bowl of water beside the bed. When they went outside and saw Zhang Si's appearance under the moonlight, Zhang Xiaobao nodded. He brought the water forward and said, "Good job. The Zhang family is honored because of you." Zhang Si took the bowl, raised his head, and gulped down the water. He wiped his mouth with his hand and respectfully replied, "Thank you, little young master. I bought the house. Please give me your orders." "Well, that's good. Go find cherries. Let her arrange the rest. I'll have to trouble you. Remember to be careful on the road." Zhang Xiaobao saw that one thing was done, so he nodded and said with a smile. After Zhang Si left, he turned back to Wang Wan and said, "This is the person that I, Zhang Xiaobao, want. How is his efficiency compared to your special second department?" "It's so-so. Don't think that everyone in my place is idle. The other 3 people you sent out haven't come back yet." Wang Wan curled her lips and said disdainfully, "I don't mean to belittle your side. I'm just asking. Go back to sleep. It seems that you don't need to sleep immediately. Drink milk first. I'm a little hungry." Zhang Xiaobao laughed. When he saw his mother standing at the door, he quickly ran into his mother's arms and pretended to be a child. Wang Wan touched her stomach and found that there was indeed nothing inside. She also followed him. On the banks of the Luoshui River, there were also 2 people who didn't sleep. They looked at the boats docked at the docks and secretly sized them up. With the occasional flash of light, they carefully memorized the red and green things that were exposed on the boats. "Little Motzi, you keep a close watch here. I'll go back and report. The Zhang family's little young master is still waiting." One person looked for a moment and felt that he remembered the appearance of the things. He said to the other person. When the other person nodded, he turned around and disappeared into the night. The people left behind resisted their tiredness and lay on the grass. They allowed the dew to gradually wet their clothes. They motionlessly observed the situation and listened to what the 2 people guarding the night said. Chapter 36. The river gurgled, and there were continuous dark clouds above. A few green leaves set off the flowers, and a cool breeze gently brushed their faces. It was a cloudy day. Seeing such weather, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were also happy. Finally, they didn't have to endure the sun to exercise. The 2 went to the courtyard to throw sandbags. The real sandbags were covered with a layer of linen outside and filled with sand inside. They were slightly bigger than a quail egg, and were just right for their small hands to hold. Xiao Hong stood on the side, staring at the sandbags flying around in the air. She was afraid that the 2 little ancestors would throw the sandbags to each other's face. While they were happily playing, a servant carrying a basket came over and gently put the basket on the ground. He said to Wang Wan, "Little girl, according to your instructions, I bought the things you want. I went around the surrounding area and bought these." "Well, okay, you do what you need to do. Oh, go to Xiao Bao's storeroom and get 2 big bones. Pick the meat and take it back. When you go back, you can make soup for your child. Wang Wan took the sandbags and stopped. She said to the servant. Naturally, the reward was from Zhang Xiaobao's storeroom. After the servant thanked her and left, Zhang Xiaobao ran to the side of the basket and tiptoed to look at it. What is this? It looks familiar. Zhang Xiaobao asked. Of course, it looks familiar. It's saltpeter, not very pure saltpeter. I specifically asked someone to buy it. Wang Wan explained. Saltpeter. When Zhang Xiaobao heard the name, he began to look around. What are you looking at? It's saltpeter. I'm looking at charcoal and sulfur. Zhang Xiaobao said. Wang Wan rolled her eyes at Zhang Xiaobao. She also came over to look at the saltpeter. What are you thinking? I didn't say I'm going to make fire. You can't buy so many cures, right? Zhang Xiaobao was still looking for two other things. Stupid, Ernie's family has already prepared the hot pot and sent it to the courtyard. I want to drink some soup and eat 2 slices of tender meat. I want to use saltpeter to make ice. I want to freeze the mutton and use a plane to cut it into slices. I want to roll the slices one by one. It's thinner than the slices and more convenient to eat. Wang Wan said as she reached into the basket and took out a small piece of saltpeter. She held it in her hand and looked at it. She nodded and felt that it was not bad. Oh, we can eat hot pot now. It's a cloudy day, so we can sleep after eating. That's what I call comfortable. I don't expect big slices of meat, but some foam will do. When Zhang Xiaobao heard that there was hot pot, he naturally wanted to freeze the mutton. He ordered Xiao Hong to get 2 basins, one big and one small, and filled them with water. He put the saltpeter in the big basin and continued to throw sandbags to Wang Wan. When the water in the small basin also turned to ice, he ordered someone to bring fresh mutton to freeze. Naturally, someone also prepared other food. He found a new plane and prepared charcoal. He also ordered someone to go to Ernie's house and get a can of water that was used to soak mountain chili. The rest of the food was waiting for the mutton to be frozen and hard to be shaved. Wang Wan was also not idle. She ordered someone to make chicken and pig bone soup. She also got some dried seafood. This thing was cheap. She first used warm water to heat it and then used it as the base of the hot pot. They waited for a long time. When it was almost noon, the mutton was finally ready. As for the beef, it was not easy to kill and could easily cause trouble, so they could not eat it for the time being. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who were sweating from playing, took a bath and then accompanied Zhang Xiaobao's family to sit at the table. Although they were sitting, they were actually being held in someone's arms. The hot pot was placed in the middle of the table. The hot pot was filled with red-hot coals. The inner ring of the pot was a hollow lid, and a chimney was placed on top of the lid. When the bubbling sound came from the inside, the water would boil. After removing the chimney and lifting the lid, the food would be ready to eat. Fermented bean curd, stinky tofu, chives, soy sauce, vinegar, and other seasonings were placed in small plates and placed there. Whoever wanted to eat could take it. Zhang Xiaobao's parents, grandfather, and grandmother sat in a circle according to the rules. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were held in Xiao Hong's arms. The adults knew that this hot pot was specially made for them by Xiao Hong. Smelling the soup and the seafood in the pot, they felt that it was not bad, but they were not sure how it tasted. "Mother, eat, I'll cook a piece of mutton for you." Zhang Xiaobao saw that everyone was sitting there and watching, so he could only use his chopsticks to pick up a piece of mutton with great difficulty. He put it into the pot and gently shook it. Xiao Hong was afraid that the boiling soup would splash on the little gongzi. She wanted to reach out to block it, but she could not free her hands, so she could only pull it back. "Don't pull, it's easy to burn." "Okay." Zhang Xiaobao reminded her, and then moved twice. He took out the discolored meat and put it on his mother's plate. Zhang Wang Clan's eyes immediately turned red. She opened her mouth and ate the meat. It was gone with a click. She did not even taste anything and praised, "It's delicious. My family's Bao Lang's food is good. Father-in-law, mother-in-law, and husband, all eat." Then everyone started to work. According to their eating habits, they made 2 sets of seasonings. One set was for the mountain pepper seedling water. Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and Xiao Hong watched from the side. They all swallowed their saliva. Xiao Hong could not eat together, and Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could not eat such a big piece of meat. They could only wait until everyone was almost done. There were bits and pieces in the pot before they could drink the soup. "Xiao Hong, you don't have to carry us. We will stand and watch. You eat too." Because it was a short table, everyone sat on small stools, also known as hu stools. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could stand by the side, but when they saw Xiao Hong watching, they felt uncomfortable. It was fine if they did not let her in, but since they were sitting together, they could not just watch. Zhang Xiaobao broke free from Xiao Hong's embrace and ordered. Xiao Hong did not dare to move her chopsticks, and shook her head. Wang Wan also broke free and said, "Just eat. The more the merrier. Xiao Hong, let's eat together. You have taken care of Xiao Bao and Cuckoo these few days. Just treat it as a reward." Zhang Wang Clan finally spoke. Xiao Hong thanked them and ate carefully. 5 people were eating, and only 2 children were left. Zhang Xiaobao looked and refused Xiao Hong's offer of soup. He scooped some tofu with a spoon, put it in the pot, and put it on Wang Wan's plate. "Eat. We will eat the duck blood later. These things are still edible." Wang Wan did not stand on ceremony. After mixing her own seasoning, she stuck her chopsticks into the tofu, dipped it, and ate it in small bites. After eating, she stuck out her tongue and said, "So spicy." Zhang Xiaobao also scalded some tofu for himself. There were already a few Xiao Hong dots on the back of his small hand. Xiao Hong was frightened when she saw this. She quickly took Zhang Xiaobao's hand and looked at it. The others also saw this situation and became nervous. Only Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not have any expression. "Xiao Hong, you eat your food. Don't worry about Xiao Bao. This little bit of scalding is nothing," Wang Wan said. She knew that she and Zhang Xiaobao were the same kind of people. This was not a wound at all. She believed that even if a layer of skin on Zhang Xiaobao's hand was burned off, Zhang Xiaobao's hand would not tremble even if he wanted to kill someone. Right, it's not hot at all. It's just hot. I can eat it myself. I am a monster. Zhang Xiaobao said with a smile. 2 small dimples appeared on his chubby face. "What monster? It's an immortal. Don't listen to your father's nonsense. Xiao Hong, since Xiao Bao can do it himself, let him eat it himself. My son is not an ordinary person." Zhang Wang Clan also felt a little distressed, but she still chose to support her son. "It's all in the past. Why are you still talking about him? Mother, I'll pluck some prawns for you." Father Zhang saw that his wife was going to bring up the past again. He was afraid that he would be scolded by his parents again. He boiled 3 prawns and plucked some red meat for his parents and Zhang Wang Clan. It's noon. Why hasn't the people sent by Sanshui County come back yet? Zhang Xiaobao used a spoon to scoop up some mutton, which was deliberately chopped by his family, and put it into the small bowl that Wang Wan was holding with both hands. The 2 of them drank one mouthful after another. Suddenly, he thought of the matter in Sanshui County and asked casually. "It should be fine. What I'm most worried about isn't that side, but which river will stop the boat. What if the boat hasn't arrived yet? Wang Wan drank a mouthful of soup and looked around the table out of habit as she spoke. There's no hurry. I believe that the two rivers will definitely have something. I know this liar song's mentality. What are you looking for? Zhang Xiaobao saw Wang Wan's actions and asked. Vermicelli. I forgot. There's no vermicelli here. Wang Wan used lip language this time. I haven't made vermicelli before, but I know the general idea. When I was young, there was a starch field near the orphanage. The water in the river was white. If I had known earlier, I would have gone in and seen how they made it. Later, I'll ask someone to make it with wheat. Isn't it just making starch first? With 10 taels of silver, it's definitely possible to make some vermicelli. It's a pity that there's no chili sauce today. Zhang Xiaobao tried hard to think, but in the end, he still couldn't figure out how to make vermicelli. He didn't like to eat vermicelli. It was okay to eat it occasionally, but he had never cared about it. It's okay. When will you ask someone to make noodles? I know how to make them. When I was young, there was a family in the courtyard that made vermicelli. I often went to help them knead the noodles. Wang Wan saw Zhang Xiaobao's lip language and said comfortingly. While the two of them were lip-speaking, Xiao Hong had already finished eating in a hurry. She didn't dare to eat until she was full. She just ate 2 mouthfuls of each dish and then put down her chopsticks. Zhang Xiaobao also knew that Xiao Hong had already made a great decision to eat a few mouthfuls. Seeing that it wasn't good for her to stay on the side, he said to her, Xiao Hong, go and see how little Seven is doing. We must keep that liar song here for a few days. Xiao Hong agreed and left. Here, they were still eating and drinking. If they didn't talk about things that didn't happen here, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan would let go of their worries. They didn't need to lip speak anymore. They drank soup and ate bits and pieces of food there, and then began to study the next plan. The adults, on the other hand, did not make a sound. As they ate, they looked at the two little fellows. When they heard the words that only adults would say, the smile on their faces never disappeared. Finally, they did not have to worry about whether the next generation would ruin the family business. The most depressed person was Father Zhang. He always felt that the two children were abnormal. But when he saw the other 3 people he couldn't provoke all take it for granted, he couldn't say anything. On second thought, this was good. When Xiao Bao grew up, he might come back with the top score in the exam. So, he said to his son, Xiao Bao, are you willing to learn how to read and write from your father? Yes, I am learning. Dad, please take care of me in the future. Zhang Xiaobao swallowed the soup, nodded and said to his father. Chapter 37. In Sanshui County, on the north side of the street near the east gate of the city, there was a shop with the words Mind House written on it. It was a little remote, so there were not many people coming in and out of the shop. The shopkeeper had gone somewhere to rest, so he was left alone at the counter, looking at the passers-by in boredom. When it was noon, the waiter could hear his stomach growling, but no one came to ask him to take his place. He could only continue to endure. From time to time, he would think about the wine and dishes in the restaurant. He felt even hungrier. Even the movement of the shadows of the trees outside slowed down. He put his 2 arms on the counter and rested his chin on it. He looked at the small soup and pancake restaurant across the street and muttered, "It's good to eat a bowl of soup and pancakes. I don't see 2 people in this shabby shop every day." Just as he was muttering to himself, 2 people came in from the door. The shop assistant immediately took off his arm and glanced at them. He concluded that these 2 were rich people. They were wearing silk robes and there was a piece of jade hanging from a rope hanging from their waists. As they walked, they kept moving up and down. "Sirs, what are you looking for? I can give you some pointers." The shop assistant put on a smile and asked respectfully according to his judgment. "Go do your work. We'll just look around," one of them said and threw a small piece of silver to the shop assistant. The shop assistant hurriedly caught it. After weighing it in his hand, he estimated its weight. It was definitely 3 taels of silver. He felt that his spirit had returned, and he wasn't hungry anymore. With 3 taels of silver, when he got off work in the evening, he would go to the apricot spring brothel to have a good meal, find a beautiful sister, and come straight back tomorrow morning. The 2 people just looked and did not talk. They walked around and suddenly stared at a painting. They looked at each other and nodded at the same time. The one who gave the money said, "What is this painting?" "Oh, sir, your eyes are so sharp. You can see the beauty of this painting at a glance. This painting was painted by a predecessor. It's a lotus flower in early spring. Look at the tip of the brush. It's hard but not broken, soft but not evil. With just a few strokes, it's all ready. Okay, how much is this painting?" Without waiting for the waiter to finish, the man waved his hand impatiently, interrupted the introduction, and directly asked for the price. The shop assistant was sensible. Since the other party didn't want him to say anything, he didn't say anything. He looked at the painting and calculated how much it would cost. If the painting wasn't damaged at all, it would be possible to ask for 20 taels of silver. The problem was that there was a spot on the painting that was damaged by fire. In the upper right corner of the painting, there was a hole the size of a fingernail. It had been patched up by the craftsman with a special technique, but it could still be seen. For a moment, he didn't know how to ask for money. If he asked for more, he was afraid that the other party would leave. If he asked for less, he felt that the reward he could get was too little. The more he sold, the more he would get. Just as he was hesitating, a voice sounded from behind him. "Lu Wang, are you slacking off again? Didn't you see that we have an important guest? Why aren't you serving him?" Hearing the voice, Lu Wang was relieved. When the shopkeeper came out, he quickly turned around and said to the shopkeeper, "Uncle Zhao, these 2 people took a fancy to the painting on the wall and asked for the price. I forgot." While the shop assistant was speaking, he blinked his eyes. In fact, shopkeeper Zhao didn't need the shop assistant to hint at him. He could tell that the 2 people were rich from their clothes. He looked at the painting and said with a smile, "How should I address you?" Li, the person who spoke first, replied with 1 word and didn't say anything else. "So it's young Master Li. You really have good taste to take a fancy to this painting. By right, how much?" Young Master Li didn't wait for shopkeeper Zhao to finish his sentence and directly asked for the price, 200 taels of silver. This painting was painted by a famous artist in the West Jin dynasty. After a long time, it was not well maintained and there are some flaws on the painting. Therefore, it only costs 150 taels of silver. Shopkeeper Zhao didn't know how much he should ask for. He wanted to ask for a sky-high price and wait for the other party to bargain. He wasn't afraid that the other party wouldn't buy it if he asked for too much, but he was afraid that the other party wouldn't like it if he asked for too little. There were always people like that. 150 taels of silver. "Okay, I'll take it." Young Master Li didn't bargain at all and directly agreed. Shopkeeper Zhao was stunned and felt a little regretful for Wei Wei. If he had known that these 2 people were so easy to talk to, he would have asked for more. But now, he couldn't back out. When he was about to take the painting and wrap it up, young Master Li spoke again. "Don't be in a hurry. We didn't bring enough money today. We only have 50 taels of silver. Let's settle the payment first and come back in a few days." Is that okay? Shopkeeper Zhao heard this and quickly nodded. It made sense. Who would carry so much money when they went out? It was so heavy. He wouldn't be afraid if he had 50 taels of silver. I heard that some shops will secretly replace the goods after people pay the deposit. I wonder if... Young Masterly asked again. Shopkeeper Zhao knew that he was worried, so he immediately said, "Don't worry, young Masterly. Our shop will never do such a thing. If you are still worried, you can find someone from Jihui to vouch for you. But, it will cost more to find someone to vouch for you. It's okay. Go find someone." Young Masterly spoke. Shopkeeper Zhao was even more relieved. He was really worried that in a few days, the two people would find someone who knew the business and ask for the money back. Even if they didn't get the money back, there would be some dispute. He urged Lu Wang to find someone from Jihui and prepared tea and snacks. After a while, Lu Wang came back with Jihui's guarantor. The guarantor asked for the price and asked for 150 taels of silver. Young Masterly paid without hesitation. He took the painting down and wrote down some of the unique features on it as proof. Young Masterly deliberately wrote down the burned part of the painting with thin paper and added some description of the surrounding burn marks. He said that he would come back in half a month. If it wasn't this painting, the shop would pay 10 taels of silver. If he didn't come back in half a month, young Masterly would pay an extra 100 taels of silver every night. If he didn't come back in a month, he would give the shop a deposit. Shopkeeper Zhao thought for a while and saw that Jihui's guarantor was there. He nodded and agreed. Both parties signed the contract and the deal was done. Seeing the two people walking away, not only was shopkeeper Zhao happy, but Lu Wang also received 5 taels of silver. The sun was setting and the red clouds filled the sky. Birds flew past, their white feathers fluttering in the wind. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan walked hand in hand beside the small river in front of the door. The sun shone on their shadows. Xiao Hong watched nervously, afraid that the two little ancestors would jump down in joy. This kind of thing could happen. After all, her little master was different from others. "Xiao Bao, do you think we can raise some ducks and geese if we draw the water into a duck pond? Salted goose eggs and duck eggs are more delicious than salted eggs." Wang Wan stood beside the river, looking at the clear water and the fish that occasionally flashed under the water. She asked with longing. "Yes, I also want to do that, but now we are short of manpower. The most important thing is that I don't have enough money. I have to start running the recent business. If I want to eat, I have to go to Zhuangzi first. After a few days, I will have money after I deal with Liar Song." Zhang Xiaobao had this plan a few days ago. He wanted to ask his mother for money. After hesitating for a while, he decided to earn it himself. He didn't mind waiting for a few days. "Little master, little miss, it's better to move back a little. Don't fall." Xiao Hong felt that this place was dangerous. She tried to persuade them. The water was not deep, and it was easy to drown 2 children. "Don't be afraid. Cuckoo and I both know how to swim. We just look at the water and feel good. The sky is beautiful. After we finish the business here, you will be in charge of raising ducks and geese. You can also raise lotus flowers and a few more dishes. It's always expensive. If you can solve it yourself, solve it yourself. Every meal is not easy to come by." Zhang Xiaobao said as he took a step back. He didn't want Xiao Hong to worry. Xiao Hong nodded blankly. She felt that the words of the little master seemed to be more acceptable coming from the mouth of the madam. When the three of them were admiring the sunset, the flying birds, and the flowing water, a person rushed over. As soon as he saw Wang Wan, he said, "Little miss, I already know where the liar's song is. Little girl, this little one already knows where that thing is. According to that swindler's song's description, we found a few boats on the Luoshui River, and from the places where they occasionally exposed themselves, we saw that red and green thing. As he spoke, the person took out a piece of paper from his arms. There was something drawn on it. He was delayed because he was looking for someone to draw it. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan looked at the drawing and said at the same time, carrots. Good stuff. Now there's a new dish. I haven't seen this thing here. Zhang Xiaobao was happy. Wang Wan also nodded fiercely, yes, this thing shouldn't be locally produced. It seems that they really got it from a foreign gang. I don't know what Liar's song was thinking. It seems that all the boats are full of carrots. Then, can the ones in the middle continue to be planted? When we have the seeds, we can plant them ourselves. I like to eat fried carrots. What about you? I like to eat them raw. I also like to eat cucumbers, eggplants, and cabbage. I like to eat them raw and treat them as fruits. Zhang Xiaobao replied. Who would treat these things as fruits? It's not good to eat raw carrots. Wang Wan said with a smile. Then what should we do? Who would send fruits to the orphanage for no reason? It's not easy for that group of people to send some here. They clearly bought it for 100 yuan, but they insisted that it was 1,000 yuan. The reporters from all over the place brought a lot. They were afraid that others wouldn't know that they were sending things. Zhang Xiaobao said with a twitch of his mouth. So that's the case. Then you did suffer a lot when you were young. People all want a good reputation. Wang Wan sighed. She felt that Zhang Xiaobao was really too pitiful when he was young. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head indifferently. Actually, I'm very grateful to those people. No matter what their purpose is, as long as they send things, it's fine. If people send things every day, I'd rather be their witness. It's also fine to say that 100 yuan is 10,000 yuan. It's better than nothing. The happiest thing for me is that I completed the last wish of the dean's grandfather. Before I die, I can exchange a child. It's worth it. Now, I have carrots to eat in the future. Xiao Bao, please allow me to use solemn words to evaluate you. You are a good liar. Wang Wan blinked her big eyes and said. Chapter 38. Seeing the carrots, Zhang Xiaobao was relieved. Otherwise, he would earn less money. 2,000 don of carrots, even if they were slightly overpriced, should be 200,000 caddies. Zhang Xiaobao admired Song Jinggong a little. Where did he get 200,000 caddies of carrots? What was his purpose? What was he thinking when he got the carrots? Did he really want to do normal business? That couldn't be right. If that was the case, then he should find someone to mortgage his shop. A shop worth 300 taels of silver, it shouldn't be a problem to pay 200 taels of silver. Just as Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were puzzled, the messenger gave them an answer. Zhang family's young master, young lady, can this thing be eaten? It's not even as big as our carrots, and it's so expensive. It won't kill people, right? When he said this, Zhang Xiaobao understood. After all, carrots were something that people here had never seen before. Song Jinggong should have gotten them at a cheaper price from outside. It was just that the cost of the boat was a little higher. In the end, he found that no one wanted to buy them, so he prepared to sell them or swindle some money. Usually, people didn't have much spare money in their hands. Most people would try to settle accounts by exchanging as much as possible. Who would be willing to spend 2 copper coins to buy a caddy of small carrots? A big carrot weighed 2 caddies, so people would rush to sell it for 1 copper coin. He's preparing to make a big profit. His ambition is not small. Wang Wan also thought of this point and said, he only wants to swindle people and doesn't know how to operate. Wait until we get these 2,000 don of carrots, I'll sell them for 3 copper coins per caddy. You don't even need to swindle people. Zhang Xiaobao smiled, revealing 2 dimples. Even without you, I can sell them. There are only a few methods. If we use them one by one, there will be one that will succeed. The next step is to see if he will fall for it. Wang Wan also had a plan at this time and happily raised her head. Stop for a moment. I'll arrange the eggs and light the brazier. It will be cold soon. On the road from Tuqiao village to Xinping city, Cherries ordered the driver to stop first. When the carriage stopped, she slightly changed the position of the 200 eggs in front of her. Then, she heated up the mattress in a brazier and covered it with it. Following her call, the car began to move forward slowly again. After 30 years of driving, the handlebar driver had used all his skills in the past 2 days. With the faint light from the lantern hanging in front of the car, the handlebar driver could avoid any small potholes. Only when the horse could no longer walk did he stop. He unloaded the horse and tied it to a nearby tree, allowing the horse to rest and eat by itself. Uncle Wang, you're really good at driving. The eggs weren't shaken too much. Cherries put her hand under the quilt to feel the warmth and coldness. She breathed a sigh of relief. She picked up the water and drank a few mouthfuls, praising the carriage driver who was leaning against the tree. It's nothing. After 30 years of driving, I'm already used to it. It's not that I want to lie to you. Even without this lantern, I know where the potholes are. As the carriage driver spoke, he opened the water bag and took out a small bag from his body. Inside was some fried rice. He was ready to eat. When Cherry saw this, she quickly took the things from the 2 people who had been following the carriage. She put it in front of the carriage driver and said, Uncle Wang, eat this. It's already prepared when we came. Under the light of the lantern, the carriage driver saw some sliced pig head meat in front of him. There were also 2 pancakes. He grinned and didn't hold back. He took the meat and rolled it in the pancake. He took a big bite, narrowed his eyes, and slowly swallowed. He then drank some water. His face filled with vicissitudes of life squeezed together and said, fragrant, very fragrant. Your zhuangzi is still the best. The Wang family's zhuangzi has to pay a lot of taxes every year. It's not as rich as yours. Uncle Wang, don't say that. Cuckoo is right there. Just wait. In less than 2 years, we 2 people on zhuangzi can eat meat for every meal. I don't dare to say anything about other meat, but we can eat as much chicken as we want. Cherries looked at the carriage and thought about the chicks that were about to come out. Her mood was much more relaxed. Okay, I'll listen to you. I'll wait for 2 years. I'll eat chicken every meal. Can the eggs on your carriage hatch chicks? The carriage driver said hopefully. He pointed at the eggs on the carriage and asked with some disbelief. Of course they can. I saw the chicks inside. In a few days, zhuangzi will be full of chicks running. Cherry said confidently. At night, the dark clouds did not disperse and covered the brilliance of the moon and stars. Song Jinggong was lying on the bed and thinking about something. Suddenly, he laughed and began to talk to himself. What's the use of looking at me? Do you think I'll go get the things in 2 days? You want to meddle in our affairs? I'm not in a hurry. After a few days, I'll borrow the money and let you know what's on the ship. You dare to raise my price? Sleep and eat, you want me to pay 50 copper coins a day? Fine, I'll pay. Let's see who cries when the time comes. Those things are clearly edible, why can't I sell them? Young Master Song, are you awake? The wine and dishes you wanted are here. Just as Song Jingong was thinking about the process of swindling money, there was a knock on the door and a question. Song Jingong got up, lit the oil lamp, and opened the door. When he saw the old man standing outside, he felt a little uncomfortable. He was eating fried eggs with chives, and radish strips for every meal. He was a little unable to bear it. Today, he had asked someone to prepare some good wine and dishes for him, but in the end, he was asked for 6 maces of silver. In such a small place, it was enough to order a table full of dishes. Looking at the 3 small plates on the dustpan and the pot of wine that the old man was holding, no matter how he calculated, it was not worth 6 maces of silver. Sorry to trouble you, old man. Bring it in. Song Jingong warned himself not to be angry. He would take revenge in the future. Only then did he try to smile and greet the old man. It's no trouble. Young Master Song, you can pay for it. This old man will buy it. What trouble is there? I can't sleep at night. The old man carried the dustpan into the room and placed the 3 dishes and the pot of wine on the small table. He gave Song Jingong a friendly smile and turned to leave. Song Jingong was indeed hungry. Seeing that there were 3 dishes, he did not find any scrambled eggs. He heaved a sigh of relief. Finally, he could eat meat. He picked up his chopsticks and found the biggest piece of meat. He picked it up and stuffed it into his mouth. After chewing twice, his expression changed. It was meat, but it was not the mutton he had imagined. It was fish, and there were even bones. The meat was not small. This meant that the fish was big. But the fish was so cheap. How could it cost him 6 copper coins? Song Jingong, who was bitter, stretched his chopsticks to another plate. The meat here was smaller. When he ate it, Song Jingong was no longer angry. Instead, he nodded and muttered, amazing. Just now, it was the meat of a big fish. Now, it is the meat of a small fish. Zhongjie Zhuangzi, I will remember. After muttering, Song Jingong turned his gaze to the medium-sized meat. He did not need to taste it to know that it was the meat of a medium-sized fish. There were less than 3 fish. Added together, it did not cost more than 10 copper coins. Including the work, 20 copper coins was enough. Song Jingong accepted his fate. He picked up the pot of wine and gulped it down without caring about the taste. He threw away the chopsticks and lay on the bed to sleep. After a few days, when Song Jingong thought that he still needed 2 more days, Manager Zhang personally came to find him. Young Master Song, the money has been prepared. Does young master still need it? Manager Zhang seemed to be in a hurry. He had not even caught his breath when he opened his mouth to ask. Really? That's great. Manager Zhang, you have helped me a lot. Don't worry, after the matter is done, Song Jingong will definitely not forget you. Once he heard that the matter of the money was settled, Song Jingong's gloomy mood immediately dissipated. Without waiting for Manager Zhang to speak, he said, if that's the case, then I will give you the deed of my shop. There is no hurry. Young Master Song's shop still has some things that I need to take a closer look at. I will ask someone to bring the money. Why don't we leave today? Manager Zhang obviously knew that he had to say everything that needed to be said. Otherwise, it would be easy to arouse suspicion. Song Jingong smiled and nodded. He had already thought about this matter. Immediately, he walked with Manager Zhang and the person who brought the money to Sanshui County. In the afternoon, they finally arrived outside the shop. When he looked inside, he saw that the person who usually looked at the shop was standing behind the counter. Song Jingong's face immediately darkened. He walked forward and asked, where is Manager Zhao and Lu Wang? Replying to boss, this afternoon, someone came to our shop and took a fancy to a jug. He actually spent 30 taels of silver to buy it. He even said that it was cheap and insisted on inviting shopkeeper Zhao and Lu Wang to have a drink. They went. Do you want me to call them back? They just left. The person replied. There is no need. You can go back. I will take care of the shop. Manager Zhang, this business is busy. I will close the shop after I borrow the money. You can send someone to take care of it. We will talk again when I have the money. Later, deduct the price of that pot and I will pay for it directly. Don't look at how expensive it was just now. In fact, that pot was only worth 160 taels. Do you want to hand it over? Song Jinggong glanced at the place where the pot was placed and found that there was one less than 100 taels missing. He did not care at all. Okay, then ask the person from Jihui to come over. I have already prepared the money. Manager Zhang readily agreed. The person behind him put down the money and turned to look for Jihui's guarantor. After a while, he came back. This time, there were 4 people. After all, there were many things. According to Jihui's account book, everything was verified. Just as Song Jinggong was about to sign the contract with Manager Zhang suddenly pointed to a painting and said, "It is better to remember it carefully. There are flaws in that painting. If there is a mistake, it will be easier to verify. Young Master Song, let's first be a villain and then a gentleman. If there is a mistake, you will have to pay 3 times the amount. We have already agreed." After saying this, without waiting for Song Jinggong to say anything, he ordered someone to draw the flaws in the painting. He also specifically wrote down the burned area and asked Jihui's person to vouch for it. Song Jinggong did not think much of it. It was just a painting. When the time came, he would just leave it to them. He stood at the side and watched with a smile. When the person came and carefully verified the other worthless things, he would hand over the money and take over the shop. After Manager Zhang left, Song Jinggong curled his lips and turned to walk towards the Luoshui River. He knew that someone would definitely follow him. Chapter 39. Both sides of the river are green, and the grass is green with dragonflies. The sky is blue with few clouds, and the water is blue with dew. Swallows gather and make a sound when the wind comes. Wild flowers move with the waves, a little sparkling. Early the next morning, Song Jinggong came to the Luoshui River. Looking at the scenery in front of him, he should be in a good mood, but he felt that something was wrong. From Sanshui County to here, it was already late yesterday. In addition, he wanted to see if there was anyone following behind him. Therefore, on the way, he randomly found an inn to stay. As a result, he saw the person with the silver beside Steward Zhang. After he confirmed that there was someone following him, he wondered if this person was stupid. Did he not know how to follow? Others would try to keep a certain distance from the person being followed, but this person was good. He was following about 20 steps behind. Every time he stopped and turned around to look, he would normally try to hide, but this person was different. He just kept looking straight ahead and acted like he didn't know him. Did he think he was a fool? How could he not remember people after such a short time? This was not the most annoying thing. He had already found an inn, and there was another inn next to this one. If he was following him, he should have stayed in that inn. In the end, he stayed in the same inn. He ate in the hall, and there were 2 tables by the window. He actually sat on one of them, facing each other. He did not even spit at the person in front of him. There were not many people, so there were many empty tables. Otherwise, why would they not sit and eat together? How was this following? This was clearly surveillance. He did not know what Manager Zhang was planning. Did he want to shed all pretense of cordiality? Song Jingong stood on the shore not far from the pier and thought. What was going on? Why did he feel uneasy? Was it because of the person following him? Was it because of Manager Zhang's attitude? Was it because he was wronged by the Zhang family and the Wang family in Zhuangzi? It did not seem to be the case. After thinking for a while, Song Jingong attributed his emotions to his actions this time. He thought that it was because his actions this time were too big, and he was too good at tricking people. He turned his head and looked at the person who was squatting about 10 steps away from him. At this time, the person was fiddling with the grass on the ground. From this distance, he could see that there was a black mass of ants under the person's feet. The person was using the grass to fight the ants. Song Jingong let out a long sigh. He really wanted to go over and ask that person, "How old are you? How could such a person be sent out?" Shaking his head, Song Jingong didn't want to waste his time on this idiot. It was better to look at the unsellable goods that were shipped back from the French lands. Thinking of this, Song Jingong walked towards the dock. The boat he had hired was still docked there. Of course, this boat didn't come with any money. As a swindler, he wouldn't pay for the boat. Instead, he had an agreement with the fan gang. He would split the profits 50-50 with the fan gang. When Song Jingong arrived at the dock, someone on the boat had already recognized him. He hurriedly ran over and respectfully greeted, "Hello, great scholar Song. Have you found someone to buy Gone soon? That's great. We've spent a lot of money on food and drinks these days. If we can't sell it, we'll lose a lot of money." His attitude was respectful, but his words carried a hint of complaint. Song Jingong also knew that if it were anyone else, they would be unhappy. "Yes, soon. Where's Sunny? Get him here. I have something important to discuss with him." The person Song Jingong was talking about was a small noble leader of the fan gang. After interacting with this side for a long time, he had picked up some of the habits here. When the person who greeted Song Jingong heard Song Jingong ask about the leader, his face unconsciously showed a trace of happiness. He still respectfully replied, "Great scholar Song, my king has found a way to make money. He has already left this place and will probably return in 2 days. Make a fortune. He can make a fortune. Good. How can he make a fortune if he doesn't know? Where is the fortune?" Song Jingong laughed. "This fan gang came here to make a fortune. Dream on." Hearing Song Jingong's disdainful tone, the person was slightly dissatisfied. However, he still maintained a smile and continued, "My king really did find a way to make a fortune. He also said that when you arrive, he will let you go and take a look." Seeing how confident he was, Song Jingong was also puzzled. Could it be that Sunny Gon really got lucky and found something? He felt that it was impossible, so he asked, "How did Sunny Gon find it? Where did he want me to go?" Someone came over and asked if we wanted to buy a chicken. He said that he could buy a chicken for 2 copper coins. "The kind that can lay eggs when it grows up," the person replied. This time, Song Jingong was no longer confused, but dumbfounded. A chicken cost about 30 copper coins, which was not too expensive, but a hen was different. It could lay eggs, and no matter how cheap the eggs were, they were still worth 1 copper coin. When a chick grew up and laid eggs, it would not take too long. Half a year would be enough. 2 copper coins to buy a chicken and feed it some food for half a year would only cost a few copper coins. It would be even more economical to let it find its own food. Half a year later, the money would come in continuously. This price was too cheap. Hens could not lay eggs when they were hugging their nests. After a few days of delay, the eggs that they laid would be worth a few copper coins. How could it be so cheap? Liar. I never thought that I, Song Jingong, would meet a liar. This was the most intuitive thought in Song Jingong's mind. However, he did not know how the other party cheated him. Since the other party was selling chickens and not eggs, he could tell the difference at a glance. Okay, I'll go over now. Find someone to lead the way. Song Jingong really did not understand. He wanted to see it for himself. He called out and glanced at the foolish stalker. He was led away from the dock and rushed to the place where the chickens were sold. Birds chirped and butterflies chased each other. In the distance, the green mountains were surrounded by fog. Beside them, the oblique light stirred up dust. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had just woken up in the morning. After drinking milk, they did not continue to sleep. Together, they went to the vegetable garden in the courtyard and prepared to continue cooking for the adults. The two of them just needed to drink some soup and swallow some crumbs. There are no kidney beans. I wanted to stew some. Wang Wan looked around and did not find any kidney beans. Instead, there were cowpeas. Zhang Xiaobao, on the other hand, was like a thief. He struggled to pull out a small eggplant about 2 inches in diameter from the eggplant field. He used his thumb to dig out a small piece and stuffed it into his mouth. He nodded his head in satisfaction. Xiaobao, what are you doing? It's not suitable for you to eat eggplant right now. Why are you sneaking around? Wang Wan saw Zhang Xiaobao secretly eating and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I'm afraid others will find out. The eggplant is too small. It's a pity to eat it like this. But this is the time when the eggplant is the sweetest. Try it. As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he dug out another piece and gave it to Wang Wan. Wang Wan really did not know what to say. Such a big person actually did this kind of thing that only a child would do. She reached out and patted away the small piece. Can you do something more serious? Then forget it. Xiao Hong, eat it. It's very sweet. After you finish eating, help us pick the eggplant. We'll eat this for lunch today. Zhang Xiaobao readily accepted and gave the small eggplant to Xiao Hong. Xiao Hong took it and really ate it. She didn't have anything to eat in the morning. She only had 2 meals a day. It was good to eat some eggplant. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were stunned when they saw Xiao Hong eat the eggplant in a few mouthfuls. After a while, Wang Wan said, Xiao Hong, don't worry. After Xiaobao and I earn the money in the next few days, we'll definitely let the person who works the most in Zhuangzi eat 4 meals a day. Morning, noon, and night, as well as supper. Thank you, Cuckoo. Actually, we're already used to it. Not to mention 4 meals, even 3 meals would cost a lot more. Xiao Hong's eyes lit up. She felt that this was impossible. Which Zhuangzi would give their servants 4 meals a day? Wang Wan also knew that Xiao Hong wouldn't believe it if she didn't eat 4 meals a day. She didn't say anything more. She pulled Zhang Xiaobao to look at other dishes while Xiao Hong picked the eggplants. Actually, just 4 meals is not enough. These people are always working hard all day, and they have to be on call in the middle of the night. In the future, we have to prepare more fruits for them to replenish their nutrients. Wool comes from sheep. The better their health, the more things they can do. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan went to a small field of green onions and squatted there. It was enough for a normal person to eat 3 meals a day. Those servants were too tired. Moreover, they lived in Zhuangzi as a family. Without children, parents would be sad. Without parents, children would be sad. Stability and unity were the most important. With enough nutrition, people's lives would be longer. When he and Wang Wan grew up, the next generation of Zhuangzi would also be born. Zhuangzi also needed to have the culture of Zhuangzi. Well, don't worry. I'll arrange it when the time comes. You're in charge of planning, and I'll be in charge of organizing. In the future, if there are more servants and guards, I'll be in charge of training. While I'm still young, I'm going to find some military combat information of this era and combine theory with practice to make tactics. Wang Wan also supported this point. She also wanted to apply what she had learned. Seeing Zhang Xiaobao's nervous gaze, she smiled and said, "Don't worry. I won't rebel. I won't implicate the Zhang family. What are you going to cook for lunch?" Eggplant, roasted with fish, steamed with green onions and sauce, garlic eggplant, minced meat eggplant, and dry fried eggplant. For this dish, you need to use the water of the chili seedlings. Shredded eggplant, braised pork ribs with eggplant, and braised eggplant with rapeseed with peas. 8. That's enough. Add an eggplant with seaweed and shrimp soup. Zhang Xiaobao counted on his little fingers and said one by one to Wang Wan. After listening, Wang Wan nodded seriously and said, "Okay, I think this is a good idea. I'm going to eat tofu tonight. I'll rely on you. It must be a tofu feast." "No problem, I'll definitely complete the task. The only thing I'm worried about is whether the shredded eggplant made with brown sugar will taste bad. Later, I'll get some charcoal and filter out the brown sugar residue. It'll be more convenient to cook in the future." Zhang Xiaobao dared to agree as soon as Wang Wan said so. He looked eager to try, which made Wang Wan speechless. "Well, anything is fine. Do you think that swindler song won't do what you want?" Wang Wan brought the topic back to the main topic. "Don't worry. I know people like him. His mentality is the same as mine when I first started to cheat." Zhang Xiaobao said indifferently. "If you have space on your bookshelf, please add it to your bookshelf. If you have votes, please vote. It's not easy. Please understand me. I'm happy to write, and you're happy to read." Chapter 40. The distance from Luoshui River to Xiaoniu village outside Xinping City was not close at all. In order to find out the reason as soon as possible, Song Jinggong had no choice but to take the carriage. The journey was bumpy, and he only climbed out of the carriage when it was almost noon. With a pale face, he looked back and found that the fool stalker had also gotten a carriage. Song Jinggong finally understood. They were not following him, but monitoring him. They were afraid that he would run away. Song Jinggong didn't have time to pay any more attention to him. He and the person who led the way quickened their pace and walked into the village. After turning left and right for about a quarter of an hour, the person stopped in front of a very small courtyard. There was a small wooden door in the middle of the fence, which was half the height of a person. It wasn't locked, and when the wind blew, it swung from inside to outside. There was another person standing in the courtyard. Song Jinggong had seen him before. He used to stay by Song Grignigan's side. Since he was here, Song Grignigan must be in the house. If there really are chicks in the eggs, when I go back, I will buy 10,000 of them. Before Song Jinggong could step into the house, he heard the familiar voice of Sonri Nigan. From his words, it was clear that the chick had not yet hatched, which further proved that the chick was a hoax. With a plan in mind, Song Jinggong straightened his clothes and walked in with a smile. As soon as he entered, he said, "Who sells chicks for 2 coins? I will buy as many as you have." When he stood still, he saw an old man, 2 young men, and a woman facing Sonri Nigan. The woman's face was half covered with a cloth. From the part that was slightly exposed, he could see a green birthmark. No wonder she had to cover it. The 2 young men were standing. The old man was sitting on something that he did not know what to call. That thing took up part of the whole room. The other end was connected to the wall. "Great Scholar Song, you are also here. Look, This is called a kong. It is a place that they use to replace the hen's nest. This woman said that in 2 or 3 days, chicks will come out of the eggs. I am going to stay here and wait for the chicks to come out. When the time comes, I will buy 10,000 of them and raise them at home. A sturdy man in the room said stiffly when he saw the people coming in. This man was Senrinigan, a Japanese. Song Jingong replied with a smile, Sonri did it. Why would you believe such a thing? If this thing called a kong can help a hen build a nest, doesn't that mean that in the future, only hens can lay eggs? Let's go back and sort out our goods. When Sonri Nigan heard Song Jingong's words, he shook his head and insisted, no, I have to see if they can really make chicks. There are 200 chicks on the bed. I have already paid the deposit. If there are no chicks, they will have to compensate me tenfold. We will know in 2 days. Song Jingong looked at the kong bed. It was covered with a mattress. He guessed that the egg was underneath it. Could it really hatch? When Song Jingong entered the courtyard just now, he had already looked around. There were no chickens in the courtyard. If he could really use this method to hatch chicks, then wouldn't he just need to get more of these kong beds and go elsewhere to buy eggs? A chicken for 2 copper coins was indeed too cheap. Even if it was sold for 3 copper coins, people would rush to buy it. He would really make a fortune. After thinking for a while, Song Jingong said to the old man, Sir, can you let me take a look at these eggs? The old man looked at Song Jingong and then at the woman. He said, You have to ask my daughter-in-law about this. She is the one who is making these eggs. Song Jingong followed the old man's gaze and looked at the woman again. The woman was easy to talk to. She nodded and walked to the kong bed. She gently lifted the mattress. There were indeed many eggs inside. Senrinigan, since you want to take a look, I will accompany you for 2 days. A thought flashed through Song Jingong's mind. He also wanted to stay and accompany them. As for the place to live, it was also simple. Now that the weather was hot, they could just find a place to stay. They could eat in this house and give some money for food. He thought that this family would not refuse. Song Jingong had been used to the hardships these past few days, so he did not mind persevering for another 2 days. He wanted to see if this family could make chickens. The old man didn't refuse. Not only did he promise to cook for Song Jingong and the others, he also promised to leave a room for them to live in. He didn't ask for much money, 6 copper coins per person per day. He only asked for some vegetables. If they wanted to eat meat, they could buy it themselves and the old man would cook for them. Immediately, the 3 of them prepared to stay. Song Jingong thought of the person who was watching him. He went to the door and looked outside. As expected, that person didn't leave. He was standing outside the courtyard, staring at the door. Song Jingong saw this and didn't get angry. If they wanted to stay, then so be it. He took out some money and gave it to the old man. He asked him to buy some wine and food. They would eat here for lunch. Don't cut the skin together. First, remove the skin, cut the strips, oil, and continue. Tuqiao Village, Zhangzhe Zhuangzi's kitchen. Zhang Xiaobao was instructing 2 people who specialized in cooking. If it wasn't because Zhang Xiaobao felt that he couldn't pick up the kitchen knife, he didn't need others to do it. He believed that his skills were better. Good job, Xiaobao. You're good at talking on paper. You're so logical. Wang Wan saw that Zhang Xiaobao was so busy that she sincerely praised him. I don't think these words should come out of your mouth, General Wang. Do all the people who learn to command in the military academy hold a gun and rush to the front to arrange the formation? I'm a little worried now. If I really find some people to let you teach tactics, the biggest possibility is that the general won't be at the back. Instead, he will be riding a horse and charging while calling for the messengers. Zhang Xiaobao didn't care at all. When he was instructing others on how to cook, he still had time to talk back with his lips. You're right. Now that you mention it, I just remembered that there's no on-site information display system here. I don't even have a map. The firepower distribution is also different. I have to think about it again. In that case, the most important thing now is to study individual or group combat. We need to have a strong long-range attack ability to effectively intersperse and surround the enemy. Comrade Xiaobao, do you know how to draw a map? Unexpectedly, Wang Wan didn't refute. She nodded and admitted that she was lacking. No, I don't know. When did I learn this? Zhang Xiaobao felt that something was wrong with this situation based on his years of experience in swindling people. You really don't know. Did you forget to learn? Maybe you'll know after a few more times. It's okay if you don't know. I'll teach you. I know. Wang Wan put her face in front of Zhang Xiaobao and threatened him. Okay, don't wait for the oil to boil before adding the sugar. It will burn. Put the eggplant. Okay, the last dish is done. Prepare the cold water and leave. Zhang Xiaobao chose to forget Wang Wan's existence. After giving the last order, he turned around and left. When he passed by the threshold, he tripped and almost fell. Fortunately, Wang Wan supported him. Look, this is the result of not being familiar with the terrain. Wang Wan smiled and pulled Zhang Xiaobao. Lunch could be said to be extremely sumptuous. There were 8 dishes, a soup, and a main dish. When all the dishes were served, except for Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao, the 4 adults were dumbfounded. They weren't dumbfounded because all the dishes had eggplant, but because they didn't know how Xiaobao could make so many patterns of eggplant. Mom, you eat. Wang Wan and I can eat by ourselves. Except for the fried eggplant and the dry fried eggplant, everything else is fine. Zhang Xiaobao directly picked up an eggplant and put it on his mother's plate. Zhang Wang Clan looked at the eggplants on the table and nodded. She praised, "My son is amazing. Which child can make such a dazzling array of eggplants?" Zhang Xiaobao's grandfather and grandmother also smiled and agreed with Zhang Wang Clan's words. In the end, the 4 adults and 2 children ate more than half of the dishes on the table. Zhang Xiaobao saw that there were still leftovers and immediately regretted. He didn't want to waste things. After all, he was afraid of starvation during those years of wandering. Let's do them together tonight. We'll eat together. Wang Wan knew Zhang Xiaobao very well. Forget it. I'll be more careful in the future and try not to waste things. Let's do it like we did before. Zhang Xiaobao replied helplessly. According to the previous method, they would throw away these dishes and feed them to the pigs. Some of them would be eaten by the servants. This was something that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't want to see. The servants were also people. We can eat this kind of food. It's better than the previous training. Wang Wan continued to persuade. I know. I used to hide from the wanted people and ran deep into the mountains. I also ate grass roots and tree barks to satisfy my hunger. But who would let us eat like that? Zhang Xiaobao didn't want to think more. He stood up, said goodbye to his relatives and walked out. 2 days were neither too long nor too short. When the first chick broke its eggshell on the Kong in the room in Xiaoniu village and came out wet, it was acceptable no matter how long the wait was. Song Jinggong could hardly believe his eyes. Could this thing called Kong really replace the hen's nest? For a moment, the chick became a golden chick in his eyes. He didn't care how much the chick was worth. What he cared about was the method to hatch the chick. He understood that this process was not as simple as what he saw. There must be some tricks. Imagining the days when he would have a lot of money in the future, Song Jingong looked at the woman with the birthmark on her face and felt that this woman had a special kind of beauty. Song Grignigan also stared blankly at the chick's body drying bit by bit. He would be happy even if there were only 200 of them. There were 10,000 of them. It seemed that there was hope. Just when they were all looking at the chick, someone's voice suddenly came from outside. Is this the place? We can use this thing called Kong to replace the hen's nest. Boss, you're right. This is the place. A voice that seemed to be a servant sounded. Song Jingong was stunned and immediately reacted. He said to the old man who was still sitting there with a serene look, "Sir, please don't tell anyone about this. I'll give you money." That's not good. Great talent Song, everyone who enters is a guest. Oh, the second chick also came out. The old man narrowed his eyes and just replied to Song Jingong. Then another chick's head came out from the eggs on the Kong. Chapter 41. There really are chicks coming out. Following this voice, 6 people stood in front of the door. One of them was a man with a bulging belly, who always had a smile on his face. Another one had his head lowered and waist bent. The other 4 were blocked behind him, and could be seen a little. They were probably servants or guards. Song Jingong had already lost his composure. Seeing that there were people coming over to look at the chicks, his smile was no longer as natural as before. He stood in front of the door and said, "It's just for fun. Actually, we use a hen to carry a nest and then bring it to the Kong bed." You are. Without waiting for the man with the bulging belly to speak, the person beside him who was still smiling suddenly straightened his back and squinted his eyes as he asked Song Jingong. "No, I'm just a high scholar. My surname is Song, and my name is Jingong." Song Jingong knew that this was not the time to show his fear. He raised his head and said, "Oh, it's just a high scholar. I thought that the top scorer had arrived. Boss, let's go in and take a look." The man laughed and turned his face around. Once again, he had a respectful look on his face, which made people gasp in amazement. The boss walked in and casually made a sound of acknowledgement. He didn't even look at Song Jingong. The 4 people behind him followed suit, squeezing in until there was no more space in the house. When they got closer, it just so happened that a chick had broken out of its shell and was trying to squeeze out. The boss's eyes lit up. He wasn't a fool and knew that this was the most important method. The chick didn't seem to care at all. "Old man, didn't we agree on this? Leave this matter to me." Song Jingong turned around and faced the old man. He winked at him and gestured with his hand. The old man didn't seem to notice Song Jingong's actions and didn't reply to him. Instead, he looked at the newcomer and said, "Master, look. This is what my daughter-in-law made. As long as the egg is placed on the Kong bed, after a few days, the chick will come out." "Oh. It can't be that simple." The boss smiled at the old man and asked. His words carried a hint of threat. "I don't know. It was my daughter-in-law who took care of the servants." "What did young Master Song say just now?" The old man pretended to be unafraid and turned to ask Song Jingong. Song Jingong was very angry. He knew that this old man was not stupid at all. Maybe this family was the one who spread the news. The more people who saw it, the more money this family could earn. Now, he no longer thought that this was a scam. The chicken really came out. Seeing that the old man had pushed him out, he wanted to refuse but was reluctant to give up, so he had to be the bad guy. He wanted to make his expression more natural, but found that he couldn't, so he simply put on a straight face and said, "Sir, I just said that I will take care of this matter." When the time comes, I will help you sell chicks. I wonder if you will agree. After Song Jingong finished speaking, he looked back at the 6 people who were looking at him and turned his head away. He didn't even want to look at them. So this is the place where chicks can be hatched on the Kong bed. Just when the 2 groups of people were practicing their eyesight, a voice came from outside again. Young master, that's right. I have found out. Please come in. This should be another servant. Basically, all servants spoke like this. Sure enough, a few people appeared at the door. One of them was about 20 years old. He had just turned 20. His white clothes were fluttering in the wind. He looked very handsome. Seeing that there was no place to walk in the room, Wei Wei frowned. The person next to him said, "Come out. Don't you see that our young master is here?" Xiaowu, what are you saying? Have you forgotten what I have taught you? This young master didn't say anything when Xiaowu was talking. He waited for Xiaowu to finish speaking before he pretended to be a good person with a calm smile. In the room, other than Cherries and another person, the others were a little scared. This young master was not ordinary. Even Song Jingong felt that he couldn't pretend to be like this. In Tao, who was wearing a face scarf, and the other person did not feel anything at all. Just by looking at Feng Shui and her family's young master, one could tell that he was beautiful. He had a fair and plump appearance, pure and big eyes, and 2 round dimples when he smiled. His words were irresistible, and he could strategize and decide victory from 1,000 miles away. When he grew a little older, which young master could compare to him? This was great. The 3 groups of people gathered together and didn't see eye to eye with each other. In order to let the young master who came later enter the room to watch, the old man even drove out the second servant of the owner who came later. After all, this was his house. Now, 5 chicks had already come out from the Kong. The first one that came out had dry feathers and was chirping non-stop. Cherries quickly brought the rice soup that she had already cooked to feed it. Seeing this situation, the 3 groups of people began to discuss with the old man. One group said that they were willing to take out 10 taels of silver. Another group said that they could exchange it for 100 bolts of silk. In short, they all wanted to get the method of hatching chicks on the Kong. The old man looked at one and then looked at another. He didn't say anything and just waited with a smile. The 3 groups of people kept increasing the price. When the price reached 200 taels of silver, only Song Jingong dared to shout. The others didn't say anything. The other 2 groups of people thought that it was not worth it to spend so much money. How many chickens would they need to raise to earn back the money? Just as Song Jingong was feeling complacent, people began to come in from outside. In the end, a total of more than 10 groups of people arrived. After seeing that the Kong really could be used to hatch chicks, one of the more generous people opened his mouth and said 500 taels of silver. No one knew what he was thinking. When Song Jingong heard this, he also became listless. He really couldn't take out that much money. At the same time, he was a bit jealous of the old man's family. With so much money, how many lifetimes would it take to spend it? Other people like this would use things to exchange for daily necessities. When the old man's family had so much money, they might be in danger. Seeing that no one raised the price again, the old man said, "Everyone, I say everyone, you are all rich people. This old man is not. What do I need so much money for? I'm afraid that it will bring a fatal disaster. How about this? Those who are willing to pay can continue to pay. Those who are not willing to pay can also exchange things. Silk, wheat, rice, millet, and even things like soybeans, radishes, horses, cows, and sheep, this old man can take them all. When the time comes, I'll just convert them into silver. Who gives me more? This old man will let his daughter-in-law sell the recipe to that family. How about it? When the crowd heard this, most of them shrank back. After all, there was too much money. If the 500 taels were not enough, how much more did he want? Song Jinggong was happy. He had goods that were worth 400 taels of silver. Adding the 200 taels he borrowed and the 200 taels he saved before, he could take out 800 taels. Others might think that it was not worth it to buy this thing, but he didn't think so. He was ready. As long as he hatched chicks, he could continue to cheat people. In a few days, he would be able to borrow another sum of money. Just as the crowd was about to continue to raise the price, a person suddenly said, "Wait, I want to ask, if I buy this recipe and you sell it to someone else, what should I do?" Everyone can rest assured. This old man has already thought about it. When the time comes, I will find a sharp-tongued person to be a guarantor. Of course, if this recipe is spread out by yourself, then don't blame me. I will only do it in my own house. Without power and influence, I can't make a big scene. The old man spoke again at this time. This time, the crowd was finally relieved. They thought that an old man would not dare to cheat people. Otherwise, he would be beaten to death. The crowd was ready to raise the price again. At this time, the old man spoke again. "Everyone, don't be anxious. This old man has a method that can let you not have a falling out with each other." Everyone stopped and listened to him. "Son, bring the brush, ink, paper, and inkstone. Everyone, this old man's method is. Everyone, write down the price or things that you want to take out on paper. Don't let others see it. When the time comes, give it to me together. I will see which family has the highest price and give it to that family. How about it?" The old man called out. One of the two people on the other side came out and took out the 4 treasures of the study that had been prepared long ago. He let these people write on it. At first, everyone thought that this method was good. Who knew that when they thought about how much money or things to pay, they would find that they could not guess other people's price. If the price was too low, the recipe would be gone. If the price was too high, wouldn't they lose money? Everyone could not help but secretly curse this old man in their hearts. He actually came up with such a bad idea. Clearly knowing that this was not good for them, they had to write. After one person finished writing, the next person took away the piece of paper under the pad, afraid that others would see the traces. Fortunately, everyone knew a few words and knew how to write a few words, so they didn't need to find someone else to write for them. After a quarter of an hour, everyone stopped writing and handed the paper to the old man. The old man persuaded them to wait outside. On the other side, the other man on the zhuangzi began to open the paper and found someone who was willing to pay 700 taels of silver. This was the highest price. Then he took out Song Jinggong's piece of paper. At first glance, he found that Song Jinggong wanted to pay less. He counted the 2,000 don of carats as 400 taels of silver. He added 250 taels of silver. The man nodded and handed the paper to the old man. He whispered a few words, and the old man wrote them down one by one. Outside, Song Jinggong was also talking to Sanrigan. After all, the goods on the ship belonged to 2 families. Sanrigan, wait for me to get the recipe. After the chickens are hatched, we will pay with the chickens. What do you think? Song Jinggong asked. Why don't you give me a copy of the recipe? Sanrigan was not stupid. He wanted the recipe. You don't understand. In the future, you can come to me to get the chickens. I will give you a discount. But if you take them back, can you keep the recipe? Many people are jealous. You don't have the protection of the government. Song Jinggong analyzed the pros and cons and persuaded him. Sanrigan thought about it. It was true, so he nodded and agreed. After a while, the old man came out with 2 pieces of paper in his hand. He said, "Everyone, the result is out. Mr. Li from Xinping City, this time it is 700 taels of silver." As soon as he said this, the others gasped. Song Jinggong's heart sank. If he had known this, he would have added more money. Those carrots were not worth much. At this time, the old man said, "Unfortunately, Mr. Li is a little bit worse." Young Master Song bought the recipe with 2,000 don of carrots, which is 400 taels of silver. Plus 350 taels of silver, the total is 750 taels of silver. As soon as he finished, Mr. Li said with an ugly face, "I will pay 800 taels of silver." "Mr. Li, you are too late. If you wrote down 800 taels of silver, we will give it to you. But maybe you want to." The old man didn't finish his sentence, but everyone understood. That's right, if they wanted less money, how could they return the prescription to you? Boss Li also knew that his words were not spoken at the right time, so he said goodbye and left in a hurry. Chapter 42. Song Jinggong stood there, feeling a bit dizzy. He felt that he did not remember wrongly. He wrote 2,000 stones of goods and 250 taels of silver. When did it become 350 taels of silver? Did the old man misread 2 and 3? He wanted to take a look at what he wrote, but he was afraid that the old man would take a closer look and call Li Dongjia back. He could only nod and say, "Yes, this young master wants this prescription. When can I hand it over?" "Right away. Someone has already gone to find the people from Jihui. When they come, the recipe will be written for you." The old man was relieved. He was afraid that he had messed up the young master's task. After a while, the people from Jihui arrived. Both parties signed the contract. The recipe was already written and was given to Song Jinggong by Cherries. Song Jinggong could not wait to open it. It was written on how to make a kong. It was very simple. Song Jinggong glanced at it and knew what was going on. When he waited for the latter part, how to make eggs, it was even simpler. He saw that it said, "Look for a few hens to hold a nest. When they hold the nest, put your hand under their belly and feel the temperature. Then light a fire on the kong and put the eggs on it. When the temperature is about the same as the temperature under the chicken's belly, you can do it. Also, be careful of being bitten when touching the chicken." After reading this paragraph, Song Jinggong understood after a little thought. It was that simple. He regretted it. He had spent so much money and goods in exchange for a prescription that he could understand so easily. How could he do that? "This recipe is fake. You have to pay me." Song Jinggong held the recipe and shouted. The people from Jihui also looked at the 4 people. Their meaning was that the recipe was fake and they had to pay. If they could not pay, they would have to go to jail. If young Master Song thinks that the recipe is fake, then please give it to the people from Jihui. When they go back, do according to the recipe. If there is a chicken, young Master Song, what will you do?" Cherry said coldly. Song Jinggong did not dare to give the recipe to the people from Jihui. If he did, not only would the people from Jihui know the recipe, he would also be arrested. Seeing the people from Jihui look over, he smiled awkwardly and said, "It's just a joke. It's a real recipe. How can it be fake? Since that's the case, young Master Song, please pay for the goods." The sharp-toothed man didn't give Song Jinggong any face. He was a regular in this business, so how could he not know what Song Jinggong was thinking? He glanced at Song Jinggong contemptuously and said, Okay, let's go and get the money to receive the goods." Song Jinggong carefully put away the prescription and followed Sanri, Negan, the old man's family of 4, the person who brought him here, the person who followed him like a ghost, and the person who followed him like a ghost, as well as Jiahui's guarantor. Together, they went to the Luoshui River to get the money. He left in the morning and only arrived in the afternoon. He was much slower than when he arrived. Lunch was eaten in the car. After all, everyone was in a hurry and did not want to delay. When they arrived at the dock, Song Grignigan and Song Jingong were surprised to find that there were countless cars parked there. There were even people who looked like they were here to load the cars. There were also people waiting there with sacks of things. Young Master Song, let's unload the goods. I've already found someone to take the goods, Cherry said. Song Jingong nodded and began to order people to unload the goods. It took a while to unload the goods. They were unloaded here and there. Once they were loaded, they would leave. There were even people who specially selected the goods. When they felt that they were suitable, they took out soil from the sacks and wrapped it around the carrots. They carefully stacked it on the carrots instead of piling it into a big pile. When it was evening, the goods were finally unloaded. They all loaded the carrots and left. There was not a single bit left. Song Jingong was puzzled. How did an old man's family of 4 get so many carrots? So he asked, how did you hire so many carrots? It's not easy to hire so many. Cherries took off the cloth covering her face and took out a wet handkerchief to wipe her face. She said with a smile, young Master Song, you don't have to think too much. With the financial resources of Zhang Wang and Zhuangzi, it's not difficult to get some carrots. No matter how many carrots there are, it's still possible. You're the servant girl of that child in Tuqiao village Zhangjie Zhuangzi. Song Jingong felt as if a large piece of ice was suddenly stuffed into his stomach. His entire body was cold. He had calculated everything, but he didn't expect that he would be tricked. There must be something wrong with that recipe, but he couldn't figure out what was wrong. That's right. If that's the case, there will be chicks hatching. But why? But he couldn't help but think that he was tricked. Otherwise, why would all of this happen at the same time? Could it be that something went wrong? At this moment, a person ran over from afar. As he ran, he shouted, young Master Song, it's not good. It's not good. Song Jingong raised his head to look. It was actually shopkeeper Zhao from his antique calligraphy and painting shop. Why did he come? When shopkeeper Zhao ran over, he took 2 deep breaths and said, young Master Song, it's not good. The caretaker residence is finished. What's finished? How is it finished? You tell me clearly. When Song Jingong heard this, he was confused for a moment. He could only force himself to ask. It's my fault. Speaking of which, it's all my fault. I didn't know that you had already taken the caretaker residence out. Otherwise, I would have found out earlier. Shopkeeper Zhao said with a sobbing tone. Tell me what happened. Song Jingong's heart was getting more and more irritated. Okay, I'll tell you. These 2 days, I've been with Lu Wang in the restaurant and that brothel. Originally, we wanted to go back, but the person who was looking after the house came and said that young master had something to discuss with someone in the shop. These few days, I didn't need to rush back. Otherwise, if I offended the noble, even if I had several lives, it wouldn't be enough. I believed it and stayed with Lu Wang until today. In the end, there was no one in the shop. A few people who said that they were from Zhangjie Zhuangzi were guarding there. They told me that the shop had been taken out. Shopkeeper Zhao finally said the matter. After Song Jingong heard this, his brows furrowed. He felt that this shopkeeper Zhao was really not presentable. He was so easily believed by others. Didn't he want to continue enjoying himself in that kind of place? That was why he found such an excuse. Okay. I'm the one who took out the mortgage. After a few days, it will be back. You're still a shopkeeper there. I won't chase you away. Do what you need to do. Don't stay here. Song Jingong still decided not to care about this matter. The shop wasn't important. At most, he would return the money. Now, he had a new way to earn money. Selling the things on the ship could also be considered as cheating the Zhang family. No, young master. It's not that simple. A few days before you took out the Zhuangzi, someone came to buy something. He wanted that painting. I gave him a high price of 150 taels of silver. That person didn't take it away immediately. Instead, he left a deposit of 50 taels of silver. After half a month, if he still didn't come to collect it, then young Master Li would pay an extra 100 taels of silver every night. If he didn't collect it in a month, then the deposit would be given to the shop. If it wasn't this painting, then the shop would have to compensate 10 taels of silver. But you took out the shop, so how are you going to collect the painting? Shopkeeper Zhao was about to cry. He told Song Jingong the whole story. Ah. Painting. What painting? Is it the one with the burn marks on it? Song Jingong asked as cold sweat dripped down his face. Yes, young master. How did you know? I haven't told you yet. Shopkeeper Zhao continued to ask. It's over. It's all over. What a ruthless Zhangjie Zhuangzi. Why did I have to cross that bridge? How much money do I have left? 50 taels of silver. Yes, I still have 50 taels of silver. I can't pay it back. What should I do? What should I do? Song Jingong's eyes were wide open. He kept muttering, scaring shopkeeper Zhao. Without thinking, he went up and slapped Song Jingong. With a slap, Song Jingong finally recovered. However, his face was as white as a sheet. It was as scary as it could be. Young Master Song, have you thought of what to do? At that time, everyone said that you were a swindler. My family's young master and Miss Cuckoo said that you were a good person. At that time, I didn't believe them. But today, it seems that they were right. Young Master Song, you are a good person. At this time, Cherries didn't forget to attack Song Jingong. She felt very satisfied. No wonder Miss Cuckoo and her young master said that Song Jingong wasn't a swindler. As the saying goes, when the virtue rises 1 foot, the devil rises 10 feet. Monster, as expected of a monster. Sigh, young Master Song was actually quite pitiful. How did he meet someone like her young master? No wonder her young master said to give him a chance. After a while, Song Jingong finally caught his breath. He looked at Cherries, who was smiling like a flower, and thought about what happened this time. He nodded and said, Okay, you Zhangjie Zhuangzi are amazing. Don't you still have time? I'll go raise the money now and return the money to Zhuangzi. I don't believe that you can force me to my death. Come on, can you stop everyone from lending me money? I have this recipe in my hand, what am I afraid of? Ha ha ha. Cherries looked at Song Jingong with pity. Wei Wei shook her head and said, Young Master Song, do you really want to use that recipe to get money? My young master wants you to go to his place and meet him to talk to him face to face. Meet? Meet your little baby who hasn't even stopped drinking milk. Are you kidding me? Does he want to eat candy? Aw. Ha 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 ha, I admit it. You, Zhangjie Zhuangzi, have won this time. Song Jingong heard Cherries' words and laughed mockingly. Cherries shook her head and said, It's not like that. My young master doesn't like candy. He wants to save your life. Cherries was actually even angrier. She didn't allow others to compare her young master. Who was her young master? But she still suppressed her anger and said, Save my life. Dream on. Just wait. Wait until I turn the tables. I'll make you pay back 1,000 times. Song Jinggong was so angry that his whole body was trembling. A little baby dared to say that she wanted to save his life. Okay, since young Master Song has made his decision, then don't blame my young master for not giving you face. In a while, there will be a new recipe to sell. It will be very cheap. It can be said that this is a new recipe that I just thought of. It's better than young master's recipe. This can't be counted as selling more than one recipe, right? Cherry sighed and said slowly. Then she turned and left. Song Jinggong was dumbfounded. He waited until Cherries had walked more than 20 steps and was about to enter the carriage before he suddenly reacted. He shouted and chased after her, "Wait, wait, I'll go. I don't want to die." Cherry stopped and didn't turn around. Her mouth revealed a trace of a smile. She said to herself, "Young Master's plan is flawless." As expected. Chapter 43. Dark clouds rolled and strong winds blew. One could see the horizon. Lightning flashed and thunder roared, creating rain and mist as if covering the distant mountains. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan stood on a small bench and looked out of the window. The heavy rain was pouring down, hitting the ground bit by bit. Bubbles appeared and disappeared one after another. It looked foggy. Countless small streams of water gathered together and undulated towards the low-lying areas. I originally wanted to give some carrots to the people in Zhuangzi today, but it seems that I can only wait until the weather clears up. Wang Wan said vaguely while biting a carrot stick in her mouth. Yes. I heard people say that carrots need to be cooked with oil so that people can better absorb the nutrients. How can the farmers have so much oil? Carrot seeds can produce oil by themselves, right? Zhang Xiaobao frowned when talking about the farmers. He appeared to be worried. Yes, and it's very expensive. I bought it before. Do you know how to make it? Wang Wan wiped her mouth with a handkerchief and said. Drooling was a natural phenomenon. No, but I know how to make soybean oil. It's very simple. Just make a barrel-shaped thing and put the beans in it. Then, keep adding wedges and rely on physical pressure to get the oil out. What's left is the bean cake. Some wicked people use the bean cake to make tofu. It's not delicious at all. Wow, you know a lot of things. Wang Wan had never seen such a method of making soybean oil and was a little skeptical. Zhang Xiaobao didn't argue. He just said leisurely, "This is nothing. There are some old people who know a lot of things that can scare you to death. Some simple herbal prescriptions, acupuncture, cupping, scraping, the work of masons, raising livestock and looking after livestock, growing all kinds of grains, carpentry, burning charcoal, baking bricks, weaving baskets and so on. While some people show off these as knowledge, those simple people pass it down from generation to generation. It has already become a way to survive. It's an instinct. Apart from what I just said, my grandpa Dean also knows how to draw, write calligraphy, carve, measure feng shui, heat the vats, wash the basins, wash the bowls, sharpen the scissors, and other things in the courtyard. He is also the one who does everything. As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he seemed to be immersed in his memories. The expression on his face kept changing. In the end, he let out a long sigh and smiled at Wang Wan, telling her not to worry. It can't be. I'm not saying that no one knows these things. I'm saying that your orphanage can't even afford a bowl, right? Who still knows how to make bowls? I used to hear my parents say that when they were young, they would be beaten if they made a bowl. Later on, no one cared at all. Wang Wan was a little surprised. Let's not talk about this anymore. When there is light, there is always darkness on the other side. A good environment is nothing more than a shadowless lamp. It just makes the darkness more hidden and not easy to find. Above the shadowless lamp, there is also darkness. This time, I got a lot of money from Swindler Song. Tomorrow, I'll get someone to harvest the soybeans. I want to squeeze the oil. Zhang Xiaobao wiped away a drop of rain that blew on his face and returned to the expression of a child. He said in a relaxed manner. The two people's voices were relatively soft. Xiao Hong, who was sitting at the door, only knew what the little ancestor was talking about. She didn't know the details. Right now, she wasn't worried that the little master and his wife would be in any danger. What she needed to do was to help by the side. Today, it was raining heavily outside, so she could sit here and learn how to read. This was the little master's request. Everyone in the courtyard had to be able to read and write and be able to do simple accounts. In addition to these, Cuckoo also said that in the future, the two children in Zhuangzi would have to hire someone to teach them. All the expenses would be paid by the Zhang family and Wang family. The only requirement was that regardless of whether they succeeded in learning or not, they had to respect Zhuangzi's honor and disgrace. Xiao Hong couldn't understand how the two little ancestors thought. The things they did were always so imaginative. And these were the words of the accountants in Zhuangzi. Knowledgeable people were indeed different. When the three of them split into two groups to do their own things, Manager Zhang's voice came from the rain outside. Young Master Song, it's raining today. Look, it's so heavy. The little master can't come out to play, so he's in the room. Please wait a moment, I'll go inform him. Then I'll have to trouble you, Manager Zhang. Song Jinggong's voice sounding a little weak. Manager Zhang entered the room outside. When he walked in again, he saw Xiao Hong sitting there thinking about something. According to his usual habit, he was about to scold her. Just as he was about to speak, he looked up and saw the two little ancestors standing close to the window. He swallowed his words. He knew that the little master wasn't someone who was easy to fool. If Xiao Hong didn't have the little master's permission, Xiao Hong definitely wouldn't dare to do this. If he really scolded the little master's servant girl, then the consequences. Just thinking about it scared him. Song Jinggong was such a smart person. Look at how he was bullied by the little master. Steward Zhang, what's the matter? The little master and Cuckoo usually don't allow others to disturb them. Xiao Hong also saw Manager Zhang and was a little scared. She put the book in her hand behind her back and said, "There's something important. Song Jinggong, young Master Song, is here. He came to Zhuangzi last night and didn't dare to disturb the little master's rest. Today, he came here in the rain. And go and tell him to read well. The people around the little master can't be worse than those of other families." Manager Zhang saw that Xiao Hong had a book to read, so it must be the little master's arrangement. This little ancestor really didn't know how to comment. Song Jinggong was such a powerful person, but he was so scared that he didn't sleep well last night. There were still dark circles under his eyes. "And you're here. Please come in. Make the tea according to the method I taught you. This way, I can be less busy." In fact, Zhang Xiaobao had already heard Song Jinggong's voice outside, but he still waited for Xiao Hong to finish before opening his mouth. Song Jinggong held an umbrella and stood in the rain, letting the rain water wet his shoes. He didn't move at all. Even when the wind blew and the rain soaked the lower half of his body, he still didn't feel anything. He kept thinking about what Cherry said when he came over yesterday. He asked Cherries which expert schemed against him. Cherries pursed her lips and said, "Why would we need an expert to scheme against you? My little master is enough. That day when you stepped on the bridge, there was no turning back. That was scary. Those who knew clearly that the bridge connected Gijia village and Zhangwang to the two Zhuangzi. Those who didn't know would think that it was the bridge of helplessness. Of course, Song Jinggong didn't believe it. In the end, Cherries reminded him, "Did you forget how you gave the money and the jade pendant that day? I, Zhangjie Zhuangzi, can deal with you. Sending a 1-year-old child is enough." This was the reason why Song Jinggong was conflicted. He wanted to see if that child was as powerful as Cherries said. "Master Song, my little master invites you in." Just when Song Jinggong was still thinking, Manager Zhang came out to greet him. "Okay, thank you, Manager Zhang." "Manager Zhang, wait a moment. I have some doubts in my heart and would like to ask Manager Zhang for help." Song Jinggong was just about to enter when he pulled Manager Zhang back. "Master Song, there's no harm in asking. I would like to know if what Manager Zhang and Madame Zhuang said that day outside my window was meaningful. What does it have to do with your little master?" Song Jinggong thought of some details. "Master Song, we will work together in the future. Please take care of me." Manager Zhang didn't answer the question. He gestured with his hand and turned to leave. Song Jinggong walked in with doubts. He walked around the outer room and saw that there was a cushion in the inner room. There was a small table between the cushion and the cushion. Song Jinggong naturally knew that the cushion was for him to sit on. He didn't stand on ceremony and walked in and sat down. When he looked at the cushion, there was no one. At this time, his eyes adjusted to the light in the room. He looked again and saw that the two children were standing by the window and looking at the rain outside. "Xiao Bao, don't you think it's better to go out than to stay at home?" Song Jinggong heard the girl's voice. "No, it's raining heavily outside. Besides, it's tiring to hold an umbrella." Song Jinggong heard the boy's voice again. "Why hold an umbrella? Just wear a straw raincoat. Look at the mountains and watch the rain." "What's that saying again?" "Oh, it's called Ren Ping Xing in the misty rain." The girl's voice was heard. "No, I'll get sick. When that happens, I'll be blown away by the wind and rain." The boy's voice was heard. When Song Jinggong heard this, he felt that he had come to the wrong place. This was not Zhangjie Zhuangzi. This was the Imperial Academy. In front of the window were not children, but two elementary scholars. "Ah, young Master Song is here. Sorry for the lack of manners. Xiao Hong, serve tea." Zhang Xiaobao seemed to have just realized that there were other people in the room. He pulled Wang Wan and jumped down from the stool. The two of them walked over to the cushion and sat down to greet the guests. "Well said, well said. Young Master Zhang is too engrossed. May I ask who the young lady beside young Master Zhang is?" Song Jinggong unknowingly treated the two children in front of him as adults. After speaking, he realized that they were obviously two children. "Oh, this is Zhang's childhood sweetheart, Wang family's cuckoo from Zhuangzi." Zhang Xiaobao gestured with his hand and introduced. "Childhood sweetheart." Song Jinggong was confused again. What did that mean? Wang Wan opened her mouth at this time. "It means that the two of you rode a bamboo horse and circled the bed to play with the plum blossoms. You're so stupid. How can you be a high scholar? You don't have any knowledge. If you want to cheat someone, you won't be able to do so." Wang Wan had lowered her voice towards the end of the sentence, but Song Jinggong still heard it clearly. If it was someone else who said this, he would definitely argue. Today, facing these two children, he could only feel a sense of helplessness. Where were the ancestral graves of the Zhang family and Wang family buried? At this time, Xiao Hong had already served tea. In front of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan was hot tea. In front of Song Jinggong were two types of tea, one hot and one cold. Regardless of whether it was hot or cold, they were all green and were different from the tea that Song Jinggong had drunk before. Young Master Zhang, this is. Song Jinggong pointed at the herbal tea and asked. Iced tea. Zhang Xiaobao explained. Oh, then why am I the only one who has it? Song Jinggong asked again. Why would a person of status drink iced tea? It's just a joke. Cuckoo and I are too young to drink cold things. Zhang Xiaobao said with a smile. Chapter 44. In front of me are two children who haven't been weaned off milk. I'm not afraid. I shouldn't be afraid. They're all pretending. The adults taught them to say that. As Song Jinggong listened to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's conversation, he could feel the tone of the two children's voices. There was something inside him that kept comforting himself, telling him to clear up the situation in front of him and clear up the fog. Young Master Song, please. Zhang Xiaobao didn't give Song Jinggong a chance to adjust. Seeing that Song Jinggong was stunned, he picked up the tea and drank it. Xiaobao, the tea is a bit old. Before Ming Dynasty is the best. Wang Wan finished the tea and commented. Song Jinggong was curious and picked up the hot tea to drink. He didn't dare to pick up the herbal tea for fear of being tricked. When the tea entered his mouth, he only felt that it was bland. It didn't have any taste of salt or sugar, and it didn't have ginger or scallions to complement it. It was a bit unpleasant, but after a while, he realized that the faint bitterness of the tea was addictive. The way this tea is brewed seems to be different from others. Song Jinggong raised his head and asked after finishing the tea. Exactly. This method of drinking tea is for elegance. It's not for ordinary life. It's used for culture and not for hardship. Those with money and status can use this method. If it's just to regulate the stomach, it's better to add salt and ginger. Today, I treat it elegantly, but tomorrow, I might not use it, Zhang Xiaobao said lightly. I'm telling you, this is to pretend to be someone's identity. Decent people drink tea because they don't feel well after eating. Salt is to ensure that the body doesn't lack salt. Ginger is to stop vomiting and get rid of the cold. For people with no power or money, life is the most important. Of course, when it's time to pretend, you still have to pretend. Pretending is also a part of life. Seeing that Song Jinggong was in a daze, Wang Wan translated for him. Song Jinggong nodded. It wasn't that he didn't understand, but he didn't expect that there would be people who used tea to show their identity. If he had known, he would have one more trick up his sleeve. But this child in front of him didn't use it. Could it be that she had reached the point where she didn't want to use this method? Hearing this girl's words, what shocked him the most was the last sentence. Pretending is also a part of life. How could this be said by a 1-year-old girl? I've learned. I wonder if young Master Zhang is willing to tell me how to make this tea. I will repay you 1,000 times over. The more Song Jinggong thought about it, the more he felt that he had found a new way to deceive people. Without waiting for Xiaobao to speak, Wang Wan said, "What else do you want to repay? You owe us a lot of money now. A few 100 taels of silver. How are you going to pay us back?" Song's words, nonsense tss. TT oved. I agree with everything you've done in the past. Only when you hatched the chicken did I let you down. Have you forgotten what you did in the past? Hearing Zhang Xiaobao's words, Song Jinggong shivered. It was just as this child said. At that moment, he had evil thoughts. It was different from what he had decided. Thank you, young Master Zhang. But the tea's recipe. Song Jinggong still wanted to trick him. Song Jinggong, why do you disappoint me so much? Other than this kind of low-level trick, you don't know anything else. Harming others to benefit yourself and making money is a low-level path. Helping others to benefit yourself is a low-level path. Helping the country and the people to make money is the true path. Are you going to hang around in the low-level path? Zhang Xiaobao saw that Song Jinggong still wanted to make money by cheating. He was really disappointed. If he could cheat, why would he use Song Jinggong? Song Jinggong put down the teacup and looked at the child in front of him. He suddenly felt awkward, especially when he saw the disdainful and disappointed look on the child's face. He then looked at the girl next to him. It was as if she had expected better from him. Song Jinggong felt that when he faced the two children, he was facing his examiner. He couldn't help but feel a sense of loss. I wonder what kind of person young Master Zhang is. Song Jinggong didn't give up and asked again. Xiao Bao doesn't need to tell you this. I'll tell you. Neither left, right, nor middle. It is the middle. When Wang Wan said this, she turned her head away and didn't want to look at Song Jinggong. At this moment, Song Jinggong was really convinced. He understood that these two children could trick him without any effort. They were not children. They could clearly be his teachers. Young Master Zhang, I am stupid. I hope you can enlighten me in the future. Song Jinggong lowered his attitude. Enlighten what? The more you listen, the more you see, the more you do, the more you think, and the more you ask, that is knowledge. I don't have an advisor by my side, so there will always be something wrong when I do things. I wonder if Master Song. There is no end to learning. The one who has reached the top is the teacher. From now on, I am at your service. Song Jinggong already understood that if the first few sentences could be taught, then the following questions couldn't be taught by anyone. Even if Zhuge Liang was alive, he couldn't. Everything was from the heart of these two children. These two children were not ordinary people. Moreover, he was in debt. His life and death depended on them. If he didn't rely on them now, when would he? Was he really going to disappoint them and use ruthless methods? Thinking of this, Song Jinggong understood that they didn't want him to die. They just wanted one more person to do things for them. Song Jinggong felt that it was not shameful to work for someone who had one. Literature was easy to come by, but if he lied, he would go bankrupt. Really? Having young Master Song is as good as having a pipe. I will have to trouble young Master Song in the future. Zhang Xiaobao still had to do what he had to do. Young Master, you can call me Zijin in the future. Song Jinggong said. Wang Wan turned her head and said, so young Master Song's name is Zijin. Since you have the heart to sacrifice for the common people, then you have to do it well in the future. Xiao Bao, leave the matter of the soybean oil to Zijin. Song Jinggong was really speechless. He just said a word, and a 1-year-old child immediately recited the book of songs. He looked at the two children again. No matter how he looked at them, they were so compatible. If they could be like this at the age of 1, how would they be when they grew up? All right, Brother Zijin. In that case, I will have to trouble you. I want to use the beans to make some oil and exchange it for the farmers to eat the carrots you brought, which are Ganchuan. You are selling them at a higher price. They are not worth 1 copper coin per caddy. 1 copper coin per caddy is more like 2 caddies. At this moment, Zhang Xiaobao also spoke. He wanted to sell the carrots at half the price. Song Jinggong felt like a fool. He shook his head and said, impossible. I bought them for 1 copper coin per caddy. No one eats them here. In front of us, it's only about whether we want to do it or not. There's nothing impossible. Wang Wan said with certainty. All right, then how do we make the oil? Beans have oil too. Light a lamp. Song Jinggong had to admit that she was better than him. Don't light a lamp. Eat it. It's the same as meat oil. Let's harvest the beans first. We can talk about the rest later. Wang Wan interrupted. Song Jinggong naturally did not refute. He just had to do as she said. He was thinking about the matter of harvesting the beans and left. 5 days later, the sun was shining brightly. Ernie came back with a basket in his hand to look for Zhang Xiaobao. Little master, the sauce is out. This is what you want. Take a look. What do you think? Ernie took out a dozen small jars from the basket and placed them in front of Zhang Xiaobao. Brother Zijin, do you know what this is? After Zhang Xiaobao saw the things, he smiled and said to Song Jinggong who was next to him. Song Jinggong looked at it and said, yes, I know. Bring the pancakes over. Zhang Xiaobao said to Cherries next to him. Cherries had already prepared the pancakes. These days, she had been preparing pancakes every day. When she heard the sound, she immediately went to get it and placed it in front of Zhang Xiaobao. Brother Zijin, please, spread the sauce on the pancakes. Zhang Xiaobao handed over a pair of chopsticks and said. Song Jinggong was puzzled and did as Zhang Xiaobao said. Then he looked at Zhang Xiaobao. Seeing the little boy make a eating gesture, Song Jinggong did not hesitate at all and directly put it in his mouth and took a big bite. Delicious, how did you make this thing? Little Gongzi, did you make it? After Song Jinggong took a bite, he said to Zhang Xiaobao and then ate the whole pancake. As soon as he finished eating, Xiao Hong sent a bowl of egg and spinach soup. Scallions were fried in oil and floated on top of it. After drinking a mouthful, the fragrance lingered in his mouth. Little Gongzi, did you make this thing? Song Jinggong smacked his lips twice and asked in disbelief. It's not me, it's Ernie. Have you harvested enough soybeans? In the future, you will sell this sauce. I will give you a few recipes to use this sauce to cook. You will sell it for at least 50 copper coins per caddy. Zhang Xiaobao also dipped his finger in the sauce and tasted it and said to Song Jinggong. No, it's Little Gongzi. Little Gongzi told me how to make it. It's not me, it's really not me. Ernie really hadn't tasted the sauce properly. After it was done, he brought it over. Seeing the little Gongzi taking the credit for it, he shook his head vigorously to deny it. Song Jinggong saw the expressions of the two people and recalled the taste in his mouth. He said, Little Gongzi, I, Song Jinggong, am convinced today. You don't want to take the credit, and can even make such delicious things. Don't worry, I will sell it for 100 copper coins per caddy. Don't, if you really sell it that expensive, you will be cheating me. You can only sell it for 50 copper coins per caddy. Wait until I get the soybean oil and fry it in oil, then you can sell it for 100 copper coins. We are doing business, don't cheat me. Zhang Xiaobao saw Song Jinggong's expression and knew what he was thinking. He immediately rejected the suggestion and looked at Ernie and said, Now I will give you a new task. Put the bean paste into the sauce as well, and split it into 2 different types. Remember to keep it a secret. Little Gongzi, don't worry. I, Ernie, will definitely do it well. I will leave now. Ernie said and turned to leave. Song Jinggong used his hand to scoop out some meat from the sauce and put it on his tongue. He asked, Why does it have a special taste? It seems to be spicy. It's the same as the chicken hatching recipe you bought. You always have to have something better to sell to something worse. Zhang Xiaobao said with a smile. Chapter 45. Song Jinggong carefully sized up Zhang Xiaobao, then rolled up another piece of pancake and slowly ate it. He seemed to be savoring it, but it wasn't just the pancake and chili sauce. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't disturb him. They tore off a thin piece of cake, dipped it in the sauce and ate it carefully. The taste is still not good enough. Wang Wan licked her fingers and smacked her lips. Yes, I think so too. Don't fry it. Count it as raw sauce. It'll be good after it's fried. Zhang Xiaobao nodded in agreement. We'll fry it later and eat it at noon. Send some to my family too. Last night, my mother came to give us peaches, Wang Wan said after eating the pancake. Zhang Xiaobao just finished eating and nodded, yes, definitely send it. But there's no soybean oil, so the taste is much worse. Last time when I went to the kitchen, I saw there was still some butter. Let's use that. Think of a way to make sauce with a cow when it dies. We need to keep it for farming. The cows on Zhuangzi are not allowed to fall. It's cheaper to buy an old cow to fall. Wang Wan added. At this moment, Song Jinggong had mixed feelings in his heart. From the words of the manservant who just left, he already knew that the sauce was made by the little boy in front of him. He was really ridiculous at that time. He even wanted to swindle money. Look at him, he could come up with one idea after another when doing business. He didn't lose unjustly at all. They weren't at the same level at all. He was only 1 year old. Could it be that he was the reincarnation of a saint? Listening to the words of the two children, they were obviously adults. How were they children who hadn't been weaned yet? No wonder Ying Tao was so proud when she talked about the little master and Miss Cuckoo. If she had such a master, she would be the same. Alright, I won't fight in the future. I'll just be an advisor to this little brat. Perhaps I'll be able to see more interesting things by following him. Just when Song Jinggong was thinking about this, Zhang Xiaobao asked Xiao Hong to go to the kitchen to get something. She just came back at this time. After thinking about this, Song Jinggong watched Zhang Xiaobao put some shredded onion and cucumber on the cake and spread the sauce. He said to him, "Taste this. Brother Zijin, try this. In the future, I'm going to sell this to various restaurants and snack bars. And I'll only sell the sauce. Even if it's slightly more expensive, people will still be able to accept it. After all, once the soybean oil is squeezed out, only our family will have it. Me and Kaiwan are still young, so we can't eat so much." The cake was small. Song Jinggong didn't feel full after eating 2 pieces. Besides, he hadn't eaten anything since yesterday afternoon. He was hungry. He didn't stand on ceremony. He took the cake and ate it in a few mouthfuls. He sighed happily. He rolled 2 more pieces and said while eating, "Little master, in the future, Zijin will go wherever you say. Please don't close the restaurant. It's small, but it can support 3 families. Zijin, what are you talking about? Naturally, Zijin is in charge of the restaurant. I'm so young. How can I manage so many things? This cake is delicious. In the future, I'll let people set up a small stall to sell it. It's like the spring plate, but I'll add some dishes that haven't been cooked yet." Zhang Xiaobao looked at Song Jinggong. Seeing that he didn't seem to be lying, he said more. He wasn't afraid that someone would lie to him. He didn't lack the ability to control his subordinates. Song Jinggong was still eating. This kind of food was too delicious. It was refreshing and spicy. The more he ate, the more he wanted to eat. He didn't stop until he couldn't eat anymore. He looked at the 2 children in front of him and said, "Okay, I'm full. I'll go and harvest the soybeans." After saying that, Song Jinggong stood up and was about to leave. Zhang Xiaobao suddenly said, "Wait, it's raining and cold outside. Zijin, take care of yourself." Xiao Hong, have you warmed the wine with ginger? Bring it to Zijin to drive away the cold. Sorry to trouble Zijin. Cuckoo and I are still too young. There are many things that we can't do. It's all up to Zijin to take care of things outside. Thank you for your hard work. Cuckoo and I thank you. After saying that, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan bowed and thanked Song Jingong together. They used their small hands to tremble as they brought the wine in front of Song Jingong. Song Jingong listened to Zhang Xiaobao's words and looked at her weak little hand. He took the warm wine. Before he even drank, he felt a warmth in his heart. He tilted his head back and drank the wine. He cupped his hands and said, "You treat me like a national hero, I will repay you like a national hero. Goodbye." After saying that, Song Jingong turned and left. He didn't even open an umbrella. He rushed into the pouring rain. His legs were steady and powerful. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan followed him to the door. They watched as Song Jingong's figure disappeared. Only then did they turn back. Suddenly, they saw Xiao Hong there. Her eyes were red. They asked in surprise, "Xiao Hong, what happened to you? Did the ginger sting you? Quickly wash it with water." "No, I'm fine. I just feel comfortable in my heart. Young master treats people so well. Whether it's cherries, pomegranate, me, or that young master Song, young master treats them all with sincerity. For Xiao Hong to be arranged to be by young master's side is Xiao Hong's fortune." Xiao Hong shook her head. Before she finished speaking, tears flowed down. Although she was young, she knew the fickleness of human nature. The little young master was not only smart, but he also treated people well. Following such a master, she must have accumulated good karma in her previous life. Don't cry, don't cry. The good days are still ahead. There's still some biscuits. Eat it while it's hot. Help me taste what it's missing. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan looked at each other and sighed inwardly. The people here were so good. And it's delicious. Young master's food is delicious. I knew it when I smelled it. Xiao Hong rubbed her eyes and nodded fiercely. She helped the two children back to the couch and praised before eating. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not say anything. Seeing Xiao Hong eat 3 biscuits, they said, "Xiao Hong, when the rain stops, you have other things to do. Find someone to dig the low-lying area near the Zhuangzi River. Make a hole in the river and let the water in. Raise more ducks and geese on Zhuangzi. Plant some lotus flowers. When winter comes, there will be a lot of vegetables." And Xiao Hong understands. "Little young master, don't worry. There are many people on the farm. As long as we provide them with a meal, they will come to work. We'll start digging tomorrow." Xiao Hong promised. Wang Wan shook her head. "Not only do we have to provide them with food, but we also have to pay them. Set a number and go back to get it. In the future, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan will open a grocery store in Zhuangzi. It will make it convenient for the people on the farm to buy and exchange goods. It's not for making money, but it will make it easier for the people on Zhuangzi to walk. Xiao Hong thanks you on behalf of my parents, on behalf of Zhuangzi, for your benevolence and righteousness." Xiao Hong was full of energy. Thinking about the future, she felt that the rain outside was so pleasant. The next day, white clouds, bright sun, clear river, and children were playing happily. All the laborers on Zhuangzi were called over by Xiao Hong. They took their tools and started working without caring about the mud after the rain. It was as if they didn't know what fatigue was. At this time, the big pot on the side was set up by Xiao Hong. Fragrant big bones were cooking in it. Some people were kneading the dough and preparing pancakes. The sauce was also put aside. The shredded pork was also fried in oil. They were just waiting to reheat the pot when it was time to eat. Shredded onions were added to the pancakes to make it taste even better. This was what Wang Wan told her. She loved shredded pork with sauce. Brothers and uncles, do your job well. You have to be worthy of little young master's 3 copper coins a day. When noon comes, the pancakes and rolls will be enough to eat. Xiao Hong stood at the side and shouted. She even knew how to boost morale. The people working had already smelled the fragrance in the pot. They swallowed their saliva and dug with all their might. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also stood not far away and watched. This was also a way to rally people's hearts. The future days will be better. Xiaobao, I want to make Zhang family and Wang family's Zhuangzi into a paradise. The old will be taken care of, the young will be educated, and every family will build a new house. Everyone will be able to eat and wear warm clothes. It won't be difficult, right? Wang Wan had a yearning look on her face. It's not difficult for only 2 Zhuangzi, but I plan to make the place bigger in the future. There will be more things to take care of. I need to train some people. What we need to do is to give them hope and confidence. When the time comes, you can train the family servants. Zhang Xiaobao was also calculating. He also wanted to let the people on Zhuangzi live a good life. Little young master, do you still eat toads? Just as Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were thinking about the future, a child in the river mustered up the courage to ask. Zhang Xiaobao knew that these children still wanted to exchange for some benefits. He nodded and then shook his head. I want to eat, but not toads. You guys get me some river snails. When it's time to eat, you can also eat with me. You can also take a portion back. When Zhang Xiaobao said this, the children cheered. One by one, they dove into the water and began to feel for river snails. They all knew what was cooking in the pot. There was also the stir-fried shredded meat. They could eat one portion and take another portion back home. It was too easy to just get some river snails. Xiaobao, there are parasites in river snails. I heard that some people ate them so much that they grew worms in their brains. Wang Wan was a little disgusted by this thing. Don't be afraid. When we go back, put some salt in clear water and blanch it twice. Then mix it with coriander, onion, and garlic. Let's eat with my father's wine. I'll also send a portion to your family. We'll drink some soup. That thing is too hot to chew. Zhang Xiaobao had already thought of what to do. Then we'll eat it tomorrow. We'll keep it today and let the river snails expel the things in their stomach. Hurry up and make the cake. Otherwise, we won't be able to eat anything. Wang Wan was depressed when she thought of her age. The children moved quickly. In half an hour, they had found a large basin of river snails. They asked someone to put them in a wooden basin and send them back. They found Xiao Hong and asked her to prepare food for the children at noon. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also went back to train. Ernyo woke up early in the morning and ate some porridge. He and his brother, Denyo, took the small jar of hot sauce and found a car. They went to Sanshui County. Because it was next to a river that was not small, there were many people coming and going. There were also many hotels. Today, Ernyo was going to sell hot sauce. In order to sell it at a good price, Ernyo obeyed the little child's instructions and baked some cakes and shredded onions. They hurried all the way and finally arrived at Sanshui County when it was almost noon. Brother, how do you sell it? Do we need to shout? Danyu was not as clever as Ernyo. He was more honest and didn't know what to do when he arrived. No need. The little child has already arranged it. Let's go to the Waterview restaurant over there. His restaurant and the Byway Pavilion beside it are the two biggest restaurants in the county. Both are competing for customers. We're not afraid that they won't buy it. Ernie thought of the little child's words. He wanted to find two competing restaurants to sell his chili sauce, so he set his eyes on the two famous restaurants in Sanchoway County. When the car stopped in front of the Waterview restaurant, Ernie and Daniel jumped off the car with their things and walked inside. There was already a waiter at the door who arranged the parking position of the car. He led the two people who he thought were going to eat inside and talked while walking. "Two guests, do you want a drink or stay? I heard from the shopkeeper that the head chef of our restaurant learned from the imperial chef." "Well, it's good to learn from the imperial chef. Is your boss here? Please find a single room on the second floor. We have something important to discuss with your boss." Ernie wore a suit of good clothes today. He was confident and straightened his chest. He talked to the waiter in the most dignified tone, he thought. Yes. Please go upstairs. I'll ask the shopkeeper to come here." The waiter didn't know what the two were doing. Seeing that they ordered a single room on the second floor, he respectfully invited them upstairs. When the two entered, he asked another waiter to come and serve them. He then ran to find the shopkeeper. The new waiter served tea and waited at the side. Ernie and Daniel were afraid of spending money, so they didn't order anything. They just sat there and waited. After about 30 minutes, the owner of the Waterview restaurant hurried over. He was not surprised to see the two people waiting for nothing. He politely greeted them. "I'm the owner of the Waterview restaurant. May I know what brings you here?" Have some tea. Ernie was a little nervous. After all, this was the first time he met the owner of a big restaurant. He followed the method taught by the little child. He slowly took 2 deep breaths and silently said, "I can do it." Only then did he feel better. He put the things on the table with his brother, opened the thin cloth wrapped in it, and took out the jar of sauce. "Today, I'm here to ask the shopkeeper to try this." While speaking, Ernie put the hot pancake on the table, smeared a layer of chili sauce on it, and put the spring onions inside. He used the chopsticks to roll it up little by little. After finishing this, he made 2 more pancakes. He gave one to his brother and took one for himself. "Shopkeeper, please." After saying that, Ernie and Daniel ate directly, indicating that the shopkeeper didn't have any poison. Besides, they were really hungry. They only had a little porridge since the morning. The shopkeeper looked at the 2 people in front of him eating and then the pancake in front of him. He already knew what they were here for. However, he could make the pancake just by looking at it. There was no need to share the benefits with others. After thinking about it, he took a bite of the pancake. The moment the pancake entered his mouth, the shopkeeper was immediately surprised. What kind of sauce was this? It was delicious and had a fresh spicy taste. No wonder the 2 dared to come here to sell things. So that's why. Thinking of this, the shopkeeper put down the pancake in his hand. "It's okay. It's edible. Leave the recipe of this sauce. I can give you 200 coins. Ernie and Daniel were stunned. Thinking of what the little child said when they came out, they admired the little child even more. He could even calculate this. At the moment, Ernie and Daniel stood up at the same time, put away the unrolled pancake and sauce, and turned around to leave. Ernie said while walking, "The shopkeeper really knows the goods. In that case, we'll go to the Byway Pavilion to eat first. When we come back, we'll tell you the recipe in detail." "Wait a minute. Since you 2 are here, how can you eat elsewhere?" Liuzi quickly asked the chef behind to make the signature dishes and send them here. "I'll accompany the 2 distinguished guests to eat." When the shopkeeper heard this, he immediately understood. He was not stupid. Seeing that the two were about to leave, he quickly stepped forward to stop them and invited them back. Today, there is only one chapter with 4,000 words. Tomorrow, there will be another chapter with 3,000 words. That means there will be 3 chapters tomorrow. I need to recommend and collect them. Thank you. Chapter 46. Ernie's negotiation in Waterview Restaurant was very successful. Not only did he sell the chili sauce, but he also made another deal with Waterview Restaurant. That was, some new dishes that required chili sauce would appear in Zhuangzi from time to time. Every time a new dish appeared, Waterview Restaurant would have to spend a sum of money, and they had to find someone to guarantee it. When the manager invited them to eat, the first dish, braised carrots, was decided on the spot. Not only did they have to pay to cook this dish, but they also had to buy the carrots and chili sauce from Zhuangzi, which were not sold anywhere else. The price of the carrots was relatively cheap, 5 copper coins per kilogram. The price of the sauce was slightly more expensive, after all, there was meat in it, 12 copper coins per kilogram. After the negotiation in Waterview Restaurant, Ernie and Daniel went to Bai Wei Pavilion next door. This time, they didn't even see the manager, and were directly sent out by the manager in the lobby. They were not in a hurry, which was in line with the young master's calculation. When the dishes in Waterview Restaurant were sold well, Bai Wei Pavilion would ask for it, and then the price would be different. After the two sold the sauce, they found a small restaurant in Sanshui County that was not well run and directly bought it with money. They didn't drive away the original owner and invited him to take care of the restaurant. When the restaurant was settled, several carts of carrots that were not shipped away that day were sent to the restaurant. The previous dishes were unchanged, but 8 new dishes made of carrots were added. After that, Daniel and Ernie could finally have some free time. They stayed in the room behind the restaurant and went back in 2 days. This time, dozens of kilograms of chili sauce were shipped, which was enough for Waterview Restaurant to sell for a few days. When they went back, there were new things for them to do. At Tuqiao Village, the construction site of Zhangjie Zhuangzi was in full swing at the moment. The villagers were working hard to dig. After the meal, they rested for less than a quarter of an hour under Zhang Xiaobao's repeated request. Zhang Xiaobao was afraid that they would get sick if they ate too much. He rolled up the pancakes with shredded pork in chili sauce and shredded green onions in 2 bites. He scooped out the cooked bones and dipped them in the garlic sauce. It was delicious. He sprinkled some chopped green onions and coriander on the oily soup. He gulped down half a bowl of soup in 1 gulp. Seeing this, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were both tempted. In the end, they couldn't help but ask for a big bowl of soup. They broke the pancakes into pieces and soaked them in the soup. The pieces were smaller than their fingernails, and so were the coriander and spring onions. After the soup cooled down, they each drank a mouthful. Because there was soup to drink, Zhang Xiaobao wasn't so worried that the workers couldn't hold on. When the time came, the soup would be directly discharged. Xiao Hong also ate at the side. She was responsible for getting the bone marrow for the 2 young masters. She poked out a soft bone marrow with chopsticks and dipped it in a little salt. It was just right for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to eat. It had a little oily taste, a little bone fragrance, and a little fishy taste. It was very comfortable to eat. The most important thing was that they didn't have to worry about their teeth falling out. It's delicious. When there are many people eating, it's more delicious. These bones are also good. Xiao Hong, remember, don't throw away the bones that have been eaten. Zhang Xiaobao ate 2 bones and stopped eating. He was afraid that he would be disgusted if he ate too much, so he called Xiao Hong again. I know, young master. Let's keep the bones that have been eaten. We can cook them at night. It's impossible to finish digging the pond in one day. Tomorrow at noon, put in some new bones and continue eating. Xiao Hong seemed to have experience. When the other people who were eating heard this, they all nodded. Not to mention working on Zhuangzi, it was the same for their own families. They were already satisfied to be able to eat with the young master and cuckoo. That's not what he meant. Wang Wan also stopped eating and said, Xiao Bao is saying that we should keep the bones and grind them into powder. They can be used for many things, such as feeding the chickens, fertilizing the ground, raising earthworms, and so on. My Zhuangzi doesn't lack a meal for them, so I'll cook new ones at night. As soon as she said this, the expressions of the villagers on Zhuangzi changed. They didn't expect this young lady and young master to be so kind and righteous. The villagers were all honest and didn't know how to say anything nice. They could only remember the two children's words and do well in the future. Xiao Hong naturally wouldn't persuade them anymore. The money for the meal came from the young master's own storage. The young master wasn't afraid of spending too much. She was willing to let the villagers eat well. The children who were fishing for river snails also ate with them. The children's stomachs were small, so they couldn't eat as much as the adults. They ate until their stomachs were round and they wanted to eat more, but they couldn't eat anymore. They could only look at the food anxiously. If you can't eat, then don't eat. You'll be stuffed. Xiao Hong gave the children oiled paper to pack according to their appetite. She thought that the children couldn't eat it at home and gave it to their families. One of the children called Erzi and nodded helplessly. I just want to eat more. It's best to eat tomorrow's lunch too. I won't eat tonight. I'll bring it back for my sister. It's okay. Life will be better in the future. Zhang Xiaobao smacked his lips and said lightly. Only Wang Wan knew how much determination he had when he said this. The villagers continued to work. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan returned home and started to exercise. The children had soft bones and weren't fully grown yet. They couldn't do vigorous running and jumping movements and could only adapt bit by bit. The only good thing was that the children recovered quickly. If they were so tired that they couldn't speak that day, they would be just as lively the next day. Today, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were going to exercise rolling. They asked Xiao Hong to bring a blanket and spread it on the ground. The two of them rolled back and forth on it. This could also help them exercise a lot. It was still too wet outside, so they couldn't go out and walk on the sand. Xiao Bao, let's rest for a while. Let's talk about something. We're all in a daze from rolling. Wang Wan turned over and leaned on Zhang Xiaobao's body. What do you want to talk about? Zhang Xiaobao was also sweating. I think the road leading to Zhuangzi is not easy to walk on. Should we take out some money to repair the road? Change always starts from the people around you. Let the people in Zhuangzi feel this and cultivate cohesion. Wang Wan reached out and took a sip of water from Xiao Hong. I don't have money. I still need to buy rice and noodles with the little money I earned. There's still a month to go before the wheat harvest. I have to buy more. Whether or not we can keep our family's land and Baihu title depends on this. Zhang Xiaobao refused without thinking. The road could be repaired at any time. It wasn't impossible to buy grain. He had a big operation to exchange for his family's position. When he collected grain, he still needed the cooperation of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Forget it. Tomorrow, I'll ask Cherries to collect some duck and goose eggs. Since we're going to raise them, we have to get some. Wang Wan bypassed this matter and started to plan. Zhang Xiaobao nodded. Yes, we have to raise them all, especially the ducks. By next spring, it would be best if we have a few thousand ducks. Let's see who dares to buy our land. Take a bath and sleep. This was the end of the topic for the time being. Little Red had already prepared hot water. She placed the two children in the hot water to wash off the sweat on their bodies. Then, she carried them to the couch and covered their navels with a blanket. She could sit at the door and read again. At night, Song Jinggong finally came back with a lot of soybeans. As soon as he entered the vicinity of Zhuangzi, he saw people transporting carts of carts. He didn't know where they were going. Curious, he stopped one of them and asked, "Where are you transporting them?" "Xianping City." "Store them there. After a few days, there will be people coming here to buy them. We can sell them directly." The driver knew Song Jinggong. After being tricked by the young master, he was willing to work for Zhuangzi. "Oh, how much are you selling them for?" Song Jinggong was not surprised. He just wanted to know the price, 5 coins per caddy. Erniu has already gone to Sanshui County to sell them. It seems like he sold them. Otherwise, Erniu would be in a hurry to come back. "How much?" 5 coins per caddy. Does that mean I sold them cheaply?" Song Jinggong was a little dumbfounded. He thought that he had sold them at such a high price to cheat others. He didn't expect that the young master would sell them at such a high price. He actually sold them at such a high price. This was too miraculous. How did he manage to sell them? Before he could figure it out, the driver continued to talk. The young master said that these are not easy to preserve. Keep the slightly better ones and put them in a cellar. In winter, they will be sold for 10 coins per caddy. In winter, there are fewer vegetables. Everyone can eat fresh. Song Jinggong didn't know how he walked back to the courtyard. His heart was filled with piles of copper coins. If he couldn't fit them all, he would exchange them for silk and shiny silver. After all, he had plenty of money. Before he entered, he saw the young master and the young master eating and drinking with a group of villagers. As the villagers had a lot of work, Zhang Xiaobao was afraid that they would suddenly tire themselves out and feel uncomfortable the next day. Especially when they stepped on the muddy ground. Some of the puddles were even higher than their feet. It was easy to fall sick if they went back. He specially asked Xiao Hong to prepare some wine. Everyone drank 2 bowls during the meal. The wine had been warmed with ginger. It was good to get rid of the cold and increase blood circulation. This treatment was too good. There was wine and meat. The villagers felt warm in their hearts. If it wasn't for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan not allowing them to continue working at night, they would have lit the torches and continued digging. How much did this meal cost? All of them didn't want to be paid. "Young master, how did you sell those carrots?" "At first, I thought it was a scam for 1 copper coin per caddy. Could it be that you found someone easy to cheat?" Song Jinggong didn't care whether the others drank or not. He ran over to find out. "Why should I cheat? Carrots are not bad. When you sell them, you just have to teach them how to cook. When everyone knows how to eat them, the food will naturally be more expensive. Besides, carrots are good for the body and taste good." Zhang Xiaobao wanted to change Song Jinggong's mindset of deceiving people whenever they encountered something. Seeing that Song Jinggong had returned, he knew that he must have not eaten dinner yet, so he greeted him again. "Zijin must be tired these 2 days. Quick, eat while it's hot. Xiao Hong, get some meat for Zijin. Dip it in the garlic sauce. It'll go well with the wine." As he spoke, he and Wang Wan moved to the side to make room for Song Jinggong. As for whether Song Jinggong was willing or not, there was no need to consider. If he could eat with the villagers, what could he do? You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.